Rumble, rumble. Emo saw that the chi-gathering peak cultivator had thrown out a rune paper which turned into a huge boulder, larger than a small mansion, that smashed the head of the metal spine crocodile. The crocodile howled and was thrown a few hundred meters away before landing and convulsing. Half of its head had been smashed apart. Then he sent out his flying sword and sliced the crocodile's head off. Even Emo had to admit that this cultivator's flying sword was strong. It was very hard to slice the crocodile's head off in one go, considering how tough its skin was. Emo could tell that this cultivator had used at least a level 5 boulder rune. After killing the crocodile, the cultivator didn't go to take the carcass nor the beast pill. Instead, he walked up to Emo and studied him before saying coldly, "Did you think you could act cocky in front of me just because I was fighting the metal spine crocodile?" Before Emo could reply, he said coldly, "Seeing that we're from the same sect, I'll let you live. Leave behind your storage bag, shatter your dantian and leave behind an arm. Then you can piss off." That was no different to killing Emo. They were in the All Herbs mountain ranges. But Emo wasn't angry, it was the law of the jungle there. "By the way, my name is Li Balan. Don't make the wrong enemy when you come for revenge in your next life." The chi-gathering peak cultivator laughed. "Martial brother Li, you're really generous today." The other chi-gathering cultivator who was collecting the corpse said, "So that guy was Li Balan, the guy who had ranked second on the Hall of Fame." Emo thought that this guy was indeed much stronger than the usual chi-gathering disciples, but it wouldn't be hard for him to kill him. However, that guy had a big brother who was Li Bison, and he was Foundation Establishment State Peak. He needed to be careful. Emo ignored Li Balan and said to Tong Jintan, who was just watching on the side, "Tong, if you want to steal the purple lotus, that's fine," but dash before Emo could finish. He was interrupted by Li Balan, who glared at Tong Jintan. "Martial brother Tong, you told me you had offended the metal spine crocodile for the rainbow golden flower, yet it doesn't seem to be the case. It's for the purple lotus." "Great, great." The other cultivator collecting the corpse immediately got up and sealed off Tong Jintan's escape. Emo saw that he had gotten what he wanted and stopped talking. Although these people weren't a match for him, anything could happen in the cultivation realm. If he could make the two of them fight each other, why not? Even Emo wasn't confident 100% that he could have dodged that level 5 rune. "I underestimated you." Tong Jintan looked coldly at Emo and then said to Li Balan, "I got 5 purple lotus seeds, but I fought for that with my life. Since martial brother Li is here too, I'm willing to give you 2. Li Balan was dazed. The purple lotus was the perfect spirit herb for cultivators below Foundation Establishment State. However, before he had even made a move, Tong Jintan was willing to give him 2. How could he let go something like the purple lotus? Li Balan smirked and shook his head. "Martial brother Li, seeing that we're from the same sect, I won't ask you for more. I'll also help you kill your enemy, but you must leave your purple lotus behind." As though he was expecting this, Tong Jintan wasn't surprised. He just nodded and took out a bag. Just when Li Balan thought he was going to get it, Tong Jintan suddenly threw it to Emo and said, "I got this from Emo." Before it landed on him, Emo turned away to leave and said, "It's not mine. Whoever wants, you can have it." Tong Jintan's expression changed. He had thought Emo would run as soon as he got the bag and Li Balan would chase after him. Like this, he could escape. However, Emo was so cunning and he had just let the bag fall on the ground. Tong Jintan didn't have time, so he simply started running. But as soon as he lifted his foot, Li Balan's flying sword had already pierced Tong Jintan's back. Clearly, Li Balan also knew what Tong Jintan was trying to do. Emo watched this and sneered. He was sure that small bag didn't have the purple lotus. Li Balan's flying sword had a sharp metal chi that made piercing sounds in the air every time it sliced. Emo could tell that the difference between him and Li Balan was that he used the power of his cultivation essence to lock enemies, while Li Balan had a complete sword ability. The flying sword flew all over the place, like falling leaves, leaving people nowhere to hide. Even Emo could feel the cold killing chi from a 100 meters distance. Emo's eyes narrowed. Li Balan had never used his full power when fighting the crocodile. He could have killed the crocodile himself, but why did he use the rune? Li Balan, you didn't use full power before. Tong Jintan had also realized that Li Balan's moves were many times stronger than before. His body had a few slices already. Li Balan sneered, Tong Jintan, other people might not know you, but you think I don't? Would you offend metal spine crocodile for a mere rainbow golden flower? Do you think I'm an idiot? Did you use full power yourself? I think you were saving it to run away. Tong Jintan glared at Yemo and Li Balan hatefully. He knew he was in danger today. At this moment, Tong Jintan suddenly approached Yemo and said while fighting, Yemo, do you think Li Balan will let you go after he kills me? Even if you get away today, do you think you can run away from his brother? As though believing Tong Jintan, Yemo sent out his flying sword suddenly. Seeing this, Tong Jintan looked overjoyed. If Yemo managed to hold back Li Balan, he could run away. Even if Yemo just kept the other cultivator busy, he would be able to get away. The other cultivator, who had sealed Tong Jintan's escape, immediately turned his focus on Yemo. Tong Jintan secretly took out a rune. He knew that it was the moment to escape. Just when he was about to use the transmission rune, he felt his dantian turn cold. He looked at Yemo in disbelief as well as the flying sword that had just pierced his dantian. Even at death's door, he didn't understand why Yemo would attack him and not stop Li Balan with him. Did he really think that Li Balan wouldn't kill him? Li Balan and his pal were also dazed and unable to comprehend why Yemo would help them. He would still kill Yemo no matter what. In that daze, Yemo had already gone over Tong Jintan's body and taken his storage bag. Li Balan suddenly laughed and shook his head at Yemo. Are you very bold? Just naive or missing a screw? You dared to steal something in front of me. Yemo sneered at Li Balan. His flying sword suddenly shot multiple sword rays, which surrounded the cultivator that was sealing off his path. The cultivator didn't consider Yemo, a stage 8 cultivator, a threat at all. Just when he was about to take Yemo's flying sword, he found he couldn't move. That powerful cultivation essence bound him, as countless sword rays pierced his body. Foundation establishment state. The cultivator mumbled as he was hacked like a smashed tomato. Foundation establishment state? Li Balan was dazed and immediately screamed, That's impossible. There's no way you're at foundation establishment state. Yemo wasn't going to waste his time talking to him. His flying sword shot a sword ray towards Li Balan, and that sword ray soon became 2, 4, 8, etc. Yemo knew Li Balan was not bad. He had a flashy sword ability. He didn't want to talk, so he used his killing blow, the 3-birth sword ray, immediately. When Li Balan recovered from his shock, he controlled his flying sword and blocked Yemo's sword ray with a veil. Although Li Balan wasn't very powerful, his sword ability was indeed good. The sword veil was much stronger than a cultivation chi veil. Li Balan not only blocked Yemo's attack, but he could also counterattack. Seeing him take out another rune, Yemo realized this guy had a lot of good items. He wasn't going to let Li Balan use the rune. He used more cultivation essence to form sword rays. 32, 64, 256. When they formed a simple net, Li Balan's sword veil was shattered completely. Countless sword rays surrounded Li Balan like needles. The only thing Li Balan could do was to use his flying sword to protect his head. He suddenly realized that he, the second-ranked master on the Qi Gathering Hall of Fame, couldn't even defend himself against a Qi Gathering Stage 8 cultivator. Splurge! Multiple sword rays pierced his body, throwing him hundreds of meters away before crashing on the ground. Li Balan was shook. What kind of sword ability was this that it was so terrifying? He quickly took out a few pills and looked at Yemo in horror. Martial brother, I'm sorry. I'm willing to compensate you. My big brother is Li Bison. You can't dash. He could tell that Yemo wasn't at foundation establishment state. He was a real Qi Gathering State cultivator, but his cultivation Qi had turned into cultivation essence, and that sword ability was too terrifying. Yemo realized that even though his 3-birth sword ray was indeed a big killing move, his power was too weak and it was incomplete. Otherwise, Li Balan's sword veil wouldn't have been able to block it at all. When he used his 3-birth sword ray at full power, it used up cultivation essence drastically. If he hadn't had cultivation essence instead of cultivation chi, he might have not been able to move now. Emo ignored Li Balan's beg and just sliced off his head. The other cultivator looked at Emo in horror, not daring to say a word. Other than that woman who was at halfway foundation establishment state, no one would have dared to say he was stronger than Li Balan in chi gathering state. Yet, that random person had killed Li Balan in less a few minutes. If Emo had been to the Hall of Fame, he would have gotten #1 for sure. But then he began to worry. That guy was so strong and he had killed Li Balan. How could he let him go? But before he could beg, Emo's flying sword had already chopped off his head just like he had guessed. Emo collected the storage bags and the corpse of the crocodile before quickly burning the bodies. He left immediately, but instead of heading outside, he went deeper into the rangers. Not long after, a small squad got there and observed the scene. The leading fat young man said, "It seems like there was a battle here not long ago, and there was a level 3 metal spine crocodile. It must have been a Foundation Establishment State Qianbei who fought with the level 3 beast. We should leave quickly." The person's face changed and he quickly left. The rest followed. Emo didn't know that the moment he had killed Li Balan, in the depth of the Zhangyuan sword sect, a place of dense spirit chi, someone howled. A man in his 30s stood in the air and roared, "No matter who you are, I will cut you into 1,000,000 pieces and burn your soul for killing my brother." Then he emitted a bright red light and disappeared from the sect, dashing towards the All Herbs mountain ranges. As soon as this middle-aged man left, another 2 golden core state elders stood outside the man's cultivation home. The skinnier-looking man sighed, "Marshal Nisli can stay in the air without using a magic artifact. It seems like he has reached fake core state. In some time he will reach golden core state for sure. Why did he leave now? It seems like his brother was killed. Li Balan was also a genius of our sect. He was about to reach core disciple, but he was killed in the All Herb ranges just now. No wonder his brother is so angry. Pity." The other golden core state elder sighed. "I hope he will come back after he gets revenge and reach golden core state." Then the 2 elders left. Li Balan arrived at where Li Balan had been killed very quickly and studied the surroundings carefully before chasing in one direction. That direction happened to be the direction which the squad that had been there took. Emo used the 3 birth chance stealth abilities to the extreme and dodged countless beasts. He flew for 2 days straight and didn't stop until he saw a level 4 beast. The reason he was so careful was that Emo knew of Li Balan. He was at Foundation Establishment State Peak and might have even reached Golden Core State. That master would trace his brother's body, and if he chased after him, he wouldn't be able to beat him. Emo found an obscured valley and dug a cultivation home there, a few hundred meters into the heart of the valley. He knew he caused a big commotion when he cultivated, so he put up tens of formations before starting cultivation. The reason Emo had chosen to cultivate on the domain of a level 4 beast was because this beast was a Hun bear. It was very powerful, but it didn't have much wits. Even if he made spirit whirlpools, it might not be able to understand. Moreover, he was in the heart of the ranges. Emo believed that no other beast would dare go over there. He had found himself a free bodyguard. In the depths of the valley, a spirit chi whirlpool was formed in the air. It gradually grew bigger until a small whirlpool was also formed on the side. Eventually, this small whirlpool also got bigger. At some point, 8 spirit whirlpools were formed above the valley, and they seemed to be merging together. Emo's face was calm, but he was forcing himself to stay calm. He was surprised at how fast he was devouring spirit chi. It seemed that after he had ran his cultivation essence in his meridians and chakra points, the 3 birth chant could run on itself. He believed that he could cultivate while doing other things. The stage 9 barrier was broken through without resistance. Stage 9 primary stage, middle stage, tertiary stage. Spirit chi kept flowing through his meridians, forming cultivation essence and increasing the size of his chi. When he got to stage 9 peak, he found that the cultivation essence could run freely in his meridians and each chakra point seemed to be able to contain explosive power. Emo took a cold breath in. A mixed spirit root? Could a mixed spirit root have such speed? The three-birth chant was too powerful. Emo stopped cultivating and scanned his spirit sense. He found in shock that it was just daylight. He had reached stage 9 peak in just one night. What was up with that cultivation speed? Emo suppressed his joy, but he didn't try to break through to foundation establishment state. Instead, he started to stabilize his power. Half a day later, Emo felt that all of his cultivation essence had stabilized. He took out his herbs to prepare the foundation establishment pill. Although Emo could tell that it was possible for him to reach foundation establishment state without the pill, just in case he would make a cauldron of pills first. Emo knew that the reason he had reached stage 9 peak so easily was due to his solid foundation. He had been cultivating in a place with little spirit chi, so he had built a very solid foundation, which had burst up when he arrived in a place filled with spirit chi. The huge spirit chi whirlpool had caught the attention of many beasts as well as that bears. However, due to Yemo's formation, it didn't find anything. The rest of the beasts immediately got scared by the bear's power when they approached its territory. When Yemo realized that he didn't have to be afraid of interruptions, he cared even less. Yemo came the magical herb sect, and all his pill concocting techniques had been taught to him by Luo Ying. Whether it was herb refinement, fire control, pill formation, or pill collection. But after Yemo had started cultivating the three-birth chant, he developed his own pill concocting method. It was based on magical herb sect, but it had his own mark. And when it matured, he would form his own system. Through the three-birth chant, Yemo felt that the most important thing about pill concocting was herb refinement and pill collection. Yemo had all the main ingredients and supplement ingredients for the foundation establishment pill. He had used the Shinnon cauldron for many years. It was no longer as dull-looking as when he first got it. It had spirit chi circulating around it. After he was ready, Yemo focused his mind and started making the foundation establishment pill. He threw the herbs into the cauldron for refinement. Under Yemo's three-birth chant technique, the herbs turned into pure herbal liquid. 3 hours later, the liquids started to merge together. The intense spirit chi made Yemo feel very comfortable concocting pills. Without any failure, the herbal liquids rolled in one direction under Yemo's spirit sense. Another hour later, it started to emit a faint aroma. Yemo could tell that the pill was about to be formed. For the first time, Yemo felt like it was so easy to make pills. Even the chi-increasing pill wasn't hard. Without any pressure, Yemo saw pills form inside the Shinnon cauldron. 6 crisp green foundation establishment pills were made under Yemo's own technique and stored inside a jade bottle. 6 pills. Yemo was very satisfied. Although the foundation establishment pill wasn't very hard to make, it was still a spirit level 1 pill. Yemo looked at the 6 foundation establishment pills and sighed. If he had had a better flame, perhaps he could have made more pills in one go and the quality would have also increased. With a good flame, the preparation time would also be greatly decreased. Thinking about this, Yemo made up his mind. If he was going to be a pill master, he needed to find a good flame. Yemo put the foundation establishment pill away and continued making 2 more cauldrons. Yemo made 18 pills altogether. He put 8 pills into 2 jade bottles. He had prepared these for Song Yangzhu and Yiling. It was already midnight when Yemo finished. Yemo calmed down and prepared himself to reach foundation establishment state. This time, an even larger spirit whirlpool was formed, but the bear just glanced at it. Couldn't even be bothered to get up. When Yemo got at stage 9, more than 90% of his chi had turned into cultivation essence. Hence, it was much easier for him to reach foundation establishment state than for others. As expected, when Yemo's cultivation essence started charging at the foundation establishment state barrier, the blocked meridian was unblocked automatically and large amounts of spirit chi were devoured by Yemo, turning into cultivation essence. Yemo felt his meridians enlarge and the cultivation essence in his dantian got dense. Even so, when he was trying to break through the final barrier, he realized he was lacking some kind of momentum. Foundation establishment wasn't that easy indeed. If he hadn't had such a solid foundation, he wouldn't have even be able to feel the final barrier. He would have needed at least another year. Yemo felt like he was devouring a lot of spirit chi, but it was far from enough. Yemo simply took out a foundation establishment pill and swallowed it. The pill turned into spirit liquid, making Yi Mo's meridians rumble. Instantly, its size increased many times. The cultivation essence, that had been a little difficult to move, gathered together and blasted open the final barrier. Yi Mo felt a light cracking sound inside his body, and he felt an extremely comfortable and powerful sensation. Yi Mo was shook. He realized he had reached foundation establishment state. He had experienced this feeling once before, but he hadn't felt so comfortable the first time. Foundation establishment state was building the foundation of the immortal Tao. It cleared the body of impurities and garbage. His body emitted a bad smell. Yi Mo understood that his body was being refined once again. Yi Mo calmed down and continued the process while stabilizing his foundation establishment state power. After some time, Yi Mo could feel that his cultivation essence was many times stronger. He scanned his spirit sense out, and everything within 100 kilometers was clear in his mind. This shook him greatly. He had known his spirit sense would be much stronger than others ever since he had started cultivating three-birth chant. But he hadn't thought the difference would be this huge. An ordinary foundation establishment state master could only reach 40 kilometers, yet his could reach 100 kilometers. He took back his spirit sense and felt the power of his cultivation essence. It was already at foundation establishment state level 1 middle stage. He didn't stop. He took the purple lotus and ran the three-birth chant again. Yi Mo went into deep meridian cycles. It was the first time he had gone into deep cultivation after reaching foundation establishment state. The cultivation essence flowed in his meridians more and more freely until it went wherever it wanted. The incomplete three-birth sword ray also became gradually clearer. Yi Mo slowly realized that he had been cultivating it in the wrong path. The cultivation essence he had used to activate the sword ray and the cultivation essence he had used to control the sword ray to leave the sword and attack the enemy were wrong. Although it was strong, Yi Mo found out that it wasn't the right path. Because what he had been doing made the sword ray slow and limited its power. If there were a lot of sword rays, it would be a great waste of his cultivation essence. The real three-birth sword ray should be controlled by one's spirit sense and will. Only that way could he activate countless sword rays instantly. When he cultivated it to a high level, the sword rays could even form all sorts of shapes and no one would be able to escape. Yi Mo was overjoyed and focused on it even more. He felt that if he could use his spirit sense to control the three-birth sword ray and master it, he would be invincible among those in his same state. If his cultivation essence helped the spirit sense control the sword ray, it would be even stronger. So this is the real three-birth sword ray. Yi Mo called out in excitement. His battle power had increased many folds. He found that he was even at foundation establishment state level 2 tertiary stage now. So fast. Yi Mo sighed, but he didn't eat the second purple lotus. Could only help him improve 2 levels, so he wasn't in a rush. He was already at foundation establishment state. Yi Mo wanted to see if he could go into the golden page world. With just this thought, he appeared in the golden page world the next moment. Yi Mo rejoiced. He was indeed able to go there after reaching foundation establishment state. He found that the golden page world was tens of times larger than before. It had tens of kilometers of land. What shook him even more was that the spirit chi inside was the same as the outside, which meant that he could stay inside there and cultivate. Yi Mo was wondering if he would be able to take people inside or plant spirit herbs there in the future. Immediately, the Golden Page World sent him the message that the Golden Page World belonged to him, but he needed to be at least at truth realization state before he could take people inside. However, he could bring beasts that were weaker than him and plant herbs too inside. He turned around and saw the 2 big eggs, which were still in the Golden Page World. Yi Mo sat down and decided to digest the second purple lotus before trying to spirit control the egg. Yi Mo ate another lotus and started running the three-birth chant. A much larger spirit chi whirl than at chi gathering stage was formed, but then it gradually turned into a waterfall. Yi Mo felt that his cultivation essence was getting more and more refined. He broke through level 2 without any complications and reached level 3 foundation establishment state. After an unknown amount of time, Yi Mo woke up and found that he was at level 3 middle stage. He was just 1 step away from foundation establishment state middle stage. However, Yemo didn't go for foundation establishment state middle stage. He had realized that although his spirit chi devouring speed was still the same, his cultivation speed had slowed down. Yet Yemo wasn't worried at all. He knew that the denser the spirit chi, the faster he would cultivate. The three-birth chant had a big stomach for spirit chi. He just needed to find a place with dense spirit chi, make a spirit gathering formation, and he wouldn't have to worry about cultivation at all. Moreover, Yemo was also a pill master. In time, he would be able to make all the pills he needed. Yemo swiped the air with his flying sword casually, and tens of sword rays got formed almost instantly inside the golden page world. So powerful. Yemo rejoiced. He put away the flying sword and stopped practicing the three-birth sword ray. Instead, he picked up the egg and started spirit controlling the frosty streams inside. Yemo was many times faster at spirit controlling now that he had reached foundation establishment state. That dark gray ball appeared in his sea of consciousness from the golden page world. It grew bigger and bigger until it got to the size of an egg. He felt it was a big killing move, no weaker than his three-birth sword ray. With its will, it could emit unlimited frost, which would freeze the enemy. "I'll call you Winter's Arrival," Yemo said, and he summoned the ball out. Yemo felt that there were more frost flows inside the egg. He believed that if he had spirit controlled all of it, it might have formed a fist-sized Winter's Arrival ball. Yet when he tried to spirit control more frost flows, it suddenly stopped. Yemo checked what was going on and found that the egg in his hand was slowly cracking. Yemo was shocked and quickly placed it on the ground. As soon as he did, it completely cracked open, and what came out of the egg shook him again. It was a gray insect. It was the size of a pea. That football-sized egg had hatched a pea-sized insect. Yemo was speechless. However, what shook Yemo even more was that the insect started to eat the huge eggshell. How could a pea-sized insect eat eggshells that big? But the little guy ate it all, and very fast as well. Then, he found that the insect didn't get bigger at all, but a faint golden color did appear on his gray body. Was it really a goo? Yemo tried to communicate with it with his spirit sense. The small bug felt Yemo's spirit sense and landed on his hand with such extreme speed that even Yemo wasn't able to react. So fast. When his spirit sense connected to the bug, he immediately had a sense of connection. This little guy had chose him as master. Soon he realized that it wasn't a goo, but a type of worm. His full name was Shadowless Tau Worm. Yemo had never heard of such name before, but he had a feeling that it was something very substantial. "I'll call you Shadowless from now on," Yemo named it. Shadowless heard this and made a very loud sharp call. Yemo took out an essence-increasing pill, a purple lotus, and spirit stones. He placed them in front of Shadowless. It charged at the purple lotus without hesitation, and after a brief moment, it was already in its stomach. Yemo then glanced at the other egg. Was that also another Shadowless Tau Worm? Without hesitation, Yemo started to spirit control the other egg. But what disappointed him was that he couldn't spirit control the frost stream in the other egg no matter what. What was going on? Yemo tried again and again, but he felt like the egg didn't seem to belong to him. Was it due to the Nye Shuangshuang? Yemo subconsciously glanced at Nye Shuangshuang, who looked like she was asleep. She was dead though. Yemo tried a few times and gave up. He placed the huge egg next to Nye Shuangshuang. He was already satisfied with Winter's Arrival and Shadowless. He didn't know how strong Shadowless was yet, but from its stomach and speed, Yemo could tell it was no pushover. Shadowless flew to a corner of the golden page world and stopped moving, but Yemo could feel spirit chi flowing towards it. Yemo stopped cultivating and started to go through the storage bags. Yemo got 10,000 low-grade spirit stones from Li Balan and 300 middle-grade spirit stones, as well as a few more level 5 runes, some herbs and beast materials. Tong Jintan also had some spirit stones, but all of these were poor quality. Yemo put the materials, the storage bags, and some low-level magic artifacts together. He was planning on selling them. He had more than 13,000 low-grade spirit stones and more than 300 middle-grade spirit stones. It was quite a lot for Yemo now. Yemo then exited the golden page world. He was prepared to go back and find Song Yangzhu, and Yiling. Yemo arrived at the valley and scanned his spirit sense. where he realized that his spirit sense could reach 150 kilometers. It was insane. It was morning and Emo took out his flying sword. Before the bear could react, he flew away in a ray of purple light. The bear saw the light, but he was lazy. As long as he didn't get invaded, he didn't even want to chase it. The previous 2-day-long journey only took Emo 4 hours this time. Not far from where he had killed Li Balan. For chi-gathering cultivators were attacking a level 3 horned tiger. This horned tiger seemed weaker than the crocodile, but the 4 cultivators weren't as strong as Li Balan, so they were in a clear disadvantage. The horned tiger was a fire element beast and spat out a fireball. A chi-gathering stage 8 cultivator wasn't able to dodge it and was sent up in the air. The remaining 3 were in an even more dire situation, but they didn't dare to run because the first who tried to run wouldn't be able to escape the fireball. The horned tiger had a habit of thinking that if one tried to escape, this person would be the one he'd hunt down first. Emo saw that one of the 3 cultivators was from his sect and he wanted to help them. The tiger had just reached level 3 and it was at most equal to Foundation Establishment State level 1. Without hesitation, Emo's flying sword shot a sword chi at the tiger. The tiger felt the threat and spat multiple fireballs at the flying sword, but Emo's flying sword annihilated the fireballs. Before the tiger could fire the second wave, he also shot multiple sword rays. The flying sword didn't reach the tiger yet, but the sword rays had already pierced the tiger's vitals. Emo didn't want to show too much, so he didn't use more sword rays. Instead, he controlled his flying sword and sliced off the horned tiger's head with an almost 3-meter-sized sword chi. The 3 chi-gathering state cultivators were dazed for a long time. It was a level 3 tiger. Even an ordinary Foundation Establishment State wouldn't be able to kill it so easily. They soon realized that they had been saved and went to thank Emo. Another reason Emo had helped them was to ask what date it was, as he didn't know how long he had been cultivating. Qianbei is from the Zhangyuan sect too? The other chi-gathering asked, shaking with excitement. Emo nodded. Yes, I haven't been back for a long time. Could you tell me whether the disciple intake period has passed? Emo remembered that he had gone to the sect a few days before it. When he arrived at the mountains, it was the time for disciple recruitment. The sect member heard this and answered carefully. It was 3 months ago. 3 months? Emo was dazed. He didn't think he had been out for this long. Did Qianbei hear about Li Qianbei's wedding? Are you going back to celebrate? Many of our sect's Foundation Establishment State Qianbei are returning for the wedding, the chi-gathering member said. Li Qianbei's wedding? Which Li Qianbei? What's going on? Emo asked. The chi-gathering member was also dazed at the fact that Emo didn't know, but he quickly replied, 3 months ago, Li Baisenqianbei's brother, Li Balan, was killed in the All-Herb mountain ranges. Li Baisenqianbei immediately went to investigate and found out that it had been a few members from the 3-star Lanfeng sect. He killed these sect members, but he didn't stop there. Instead, he attacked the Lanfeng sect. Emo frowned. He was the one that killed Li Balan, yet Li Bailson had put the blame on someone else. It made him feel uncomfortable, although this was right in the eyes of the people in this realm. Li Qianbei realized that he had wronged the Lanfeng sect. However, he said that even if he had been wrong, as long as there was a slim of suspicion, he would kill all of the Lanfeng sect. Emo sneered. Although Li Bailson was at Foundation Establishment State peak, he still dared have killing intent towards a greater power. The chi-gathering man peeked at Emo and said quietly, when the sect leader of Lanfeng sect explained that Li Balan's death had nothing to do with them, and that he was willing to organize a union marriage with Li Qianbei and their genius disciple, Jian, Li Qianbei agreed and gave up the thought of annihilating the sect. Emo's expression sunk and he asked coldly, since Li Bailson already knows it wasn't the Lanfeng sect who killed his brother, did he find out who did it? The cultivator nodded. Apparently someone from our sect did it, but he has gone missing. However, his wife and sister are still in the sect. Li Qianbei decided to deal with them first. Bastard! Emo's fury soared and he instantly disappeared. The other cultivator said, why do I feel like he's calling Li Bailson Qianbei a bastard? Emo felt like he had been too naive. He had thought Song Yongzhu and Yi Ling would be fine with a golden core state middle stage master, but when facing benefits and power, other people were unreliable. He had been planning on finding Yimo first, but after hearing this, he had decided that no matter where he went, he would take them with him. Yimo desired power even more now. If he was at truth realization state, he could take people into his golden page world. But if he was at truth realization state, would he even need to run? He would only need to wave his hand and Li Bailson would turn into pulp. Yimo's speed was at maximum now. Soon, he had covered nearly a 10,000 kilometers distance. 2 hours later, Yimo arrived at the sect and subconsciously scanned where he was staying at. He was planning on going to Yen Yuan Peak immediately. Even if the elder was at golden core state, he would take Song Yongzhu and Yi Ling away. However, Yimo found Song Yongzhu and Yi Ling at his place. Yet soon he realized why they were there. His place had been surrounded by multiple qi gathering and a foundation establishment state cultivators. Clearly, they were waiting for him to come back. Song Yongzhu and Yi Ling were anxious. They didn't know what to do, and they could only sit in the house, waiting for fate to arrive. Stop. No one is allowed near here. Yimo was stopped by 2 qi gathering level 8 cultivators. Piss off. Yimo kicked the 2 cultivators, who were thrown tens of meters away and unable to get up. It wasn't that Yimo didn't want to kill them, but that he knew he couldn't kill in the sect yet. Yimo, brother. Song Yongzhu and Yi Ling had heard the movements outside and saw Yimo's return. They couldn't help but to run to Yimo's arms together. Yimo's heart finally rested at ease seeing them. He had calmed down. He knew that the next enemy he would face was a foundation establishment state peak master who was perhaps at golden core state. Yimo was confident, but he didn't think he could beat a golden core state yet. No matter how strong his 3 birth chant was, he couldn't take on a golden core state master at foundation establishment state level 3. If he had been level 7 or above, he would have had a sliver of hope. He could only hope that Li Bailson wasn't at golden core state yet. Brother, you need to leave quickly. That Li Bailson locked us here as bait for your return. He said you killed Li Balan, Yi Ling said. Song Yongzhu didn't say anything. She knew that even if she did, Yimo would never leave them behind. Yimo patted Yi Ling's shoulder and didn't say anything. He knew she would understand what he meant. Yimo's spirit sense scanned and saw that 2 qi gathering cultivators had left to notify Li Bailson. Yimo didn't care. He didn't try to run, as he knew he wouldn't be able to get away now. He knew there were masters watching the scene and Yimo could feel a hidden strong spirit sense. That person didn't come over, but Yimo knew he was at least at foundation establishment state tertiary stage. He wouldn't have feared if had been was by himself, but he had Song Yongzhu and Yi Ling with him. He couldn't escape. Yimo checked their powers. Song Yongzhu was at level 3 qi gathering and Yi Ling was actually at level 4. He looked at Song Yongzhu and asked, "Why would you be out? Where is your master? Did she not care at all?" Song Yongzhu shook her head and said, "We were progressing very fast at the peak. But 10 days ago, 2 golden core state elders invited my master to go on a search to an ancient ruin, so my master left." Yimo realized that it wasn't that Li Yuqian hadn't intervened, but she had been drawn away. Although Yimo didn't know their master, he believed she wasn't someone that would betray her own disciples. Yi Ling said, "After a few days master had left, we got news that someone from the outer sect was challenging the number 1 of qi gathering state, Fu Yishuang. We wanted to see if it was you, so we came out. We thought it would be very hard for us to get out, but we got out very easily." Song Yongzhu nodded. "Yes, we came here and we were immediately locked up. If that Li Bailson hadn't been trying to get you to come back." Yimo's heart was burning even more, yet he grew calmer and calmer. He knew that Song Yongzhu and Yi Ling shouldn't have been able to leave Yen Yuan Peak so easily. Could only mean that there was a traitor there who had been bought by Li Bailson. Yimo decided to no longer let the 2 stay there. He had to take them away. Yimo had made up his mind to build his own power, just like Luo Yu on Earth. It was best to build that place in the South Peace State. However, even if he managed to get there, his power would be at the bottom. The North Far State had the lowest cultivation level on the Luo Yu continent, but it suited Yimo to build his foundation. Perhaps one day, I can build a strong sect that will dominate the entire Luoyu continent, Emo murmured. On Luoyu continent, you needed power to get more cultivation resources. The best way was to build your own power so you didn't have to rely on others. Brother, do you also want to build a Luoyu city here? Yiling asked quietly. Emo nodded. Yes, although I haven't decided if I should build a city, your idea is good. Perhaps I really should do it. Brother, have you been here a long time ago? Why does our Luoyu city have the same name as this continent? Yiling asked. Emo scratched his nose in awkwardness and pulled the two of them. Let's talk about this later on. We'll go to the mission hall first. Emo wasn't going there to do missions, he was going there to exchange goods. He had a level 3 beast pill and many spirit herbs. He was planning on exchanging them for a Ming Yuan pill. It made cultivators below level 6 foundation establishment state go a level higher. However, it could only be used once and it had side effects. But Emo didn't care. He was at level 3. After using that, he would be at stage 4. It was just one level, but the difference was huge. One was at foundation establishment state primary stage, while the other was middle stage. If he reached foundation establishment state middle stage, he would have a much better chance at dealing with Li Bailson. As for the side effects, Emo really didn't care. He had the 10,000-year-old stalagmite marrow, and the stalagmite pill could mitigate any side effects. The Ming Yuan pill was precious, but Emo believed he could get it as he still had the bitter 10 years. It wasn't much use to him anymore, so if worse came to worse, he would trade it with that. He could also trade it for the foundation establishment pill, but he wasn't an idiot. Even taking out the bitter 10 years would be dangerous for him with his current power. Emo took the two women to the door, but he was stopped by a middle-aged man cultivator. There were 4 or 5 chi-gathering cultivators behind him. Not far away, hundreds of other disciples were watching. Yiling and Song Yangzhu saw the cultivator and their face changed. Yiling whispered to Emo, "Brother, that guy is at foundation establishment state. Only foundation establishment state cultivators can wear that sort of clothes." Emo squeezed Yiling's hand and said to the foundation establishment state cultivator, "This is my place. What are you guys doing at my door?" The foundation establishment state cultivator looked at Emo in contempt and said, "What am I doing? I'm telling you to piss off inside or I will teach you a lesson." Emo suddenly laughed. "Fellow members of the Zhangyuan sword sect, I think everyone understands the rules of the sect. One of them is that no sect member is allowed to intentionally steal of a fellow member's home. Yet someone is doing this to my home today. What do the sect rules say I should do?" The surrounding crowd was silent. Some people even started to scorn Emo. According to the rules, one could kill without hesitation, but this rule only applied to ordinary members. Even if this foundation establishment State-Shinbei killed their outer sect member, he would only be punished lightly, much less for sealing off his door. Emo sneered and said lowly, "I was going to kill this guy who is sealing off my home, but considering we're from the same sect, I'll just lay waste to him. I'm sure someone has already recorded my words with a crystal ball." Emo's words sounded, but there was a roar of laughter after the initial silence. Emo sent out his flying sword. It wasn't fast, after all, on the surface he was only at Chi Gathering Stage 8. But it pierced the foundation establishment state's Dan Tian silently. Just like what Emo had said he was going to do. The foundation establishment state cultivator sneered. A mere stage 8 Chi Gathering cultivator dared to do this in front of him. He grabbed the flying sword, which was like a metal rod to him. Yet, the flying sword pierced the hand of the foundation establishment state cultivator without resistance and stabbed his dantian with the same speed. Then, the flying sword flew back to his hand. The foundation establishment state cultivator looked dazedly at his pierced dantian and half of his left hand. He was speechless. "You're at foundation establishment state," the cultivator mumbled after a long while. Emo sneered. "A mere foundation establishment state level 1 cultivator dares to lock my home. I said I won't kill you, so I won't. Piss off." Then, Emo scanned his spirit sense out and raised his power. He was clearly at level 3 foundation establishment state. Those watching the show quickly retreated. The few Qi-gathering disciples following the Foundation establishment state cultivator also quickly moved aside. Emo saw the crowd retreat and pulled Song Yongzhu and Yiling's hand saying, "Let's go." "Ha! Brother, you've reached Foundation establishment state." Yiling understood how hard it was to reach Foundation establishment state after staying in the cultivation realm for a few months. Emo nodded. "Yes, I have reached Foundation establishment state, but don't worry. If you cultivate with me, Foundation establishment state won't be hard." Emo wasn't bluffing. He had the Foundation establishment pill and he was a pill master. By the way, where is Silver? Emo remembered that it belonged to Ning Qingxue and he didn't want anything to happen to it. Song Yongzhu quickly said, "It is in the Yen Yuan Peak. Are we going to leave the sect?" "I'll bring her here." Emo waved his hand. "No rush, we're not betraying the sect. Let's go get a mission and do it. We'll take Silver after picking up a mission." "Brother, are we going to roam the world from now on?" "I love it." Yiling clearly had been watching too many TV dramas. The crowd whispered amongst themselves. Although Li Bailson was the #1 person under Golden Core State, he couldn't so casually attack a Foundation establishment state cultivator. Emo took the two women to the mission hall, but he realized that Li Bailson wasn't back yet. He was quite bewildered and asked Yiling, "Yiling, do you know where that Li scum went?" Yiling thought for a while before saying, "I heard people say that he went to some auction, so he's not back yet." He had gone to auction? If he really was gone, then he could take them and leave now. However, Emo knew that even if he was going to leave, he had to get a mission from the mission hall. The mission hall was full like usual. Emo looked at the mission screen and said to Song Yongzhu, "You and Yiling go take a mission. Remember, the further away the mission, the better. If not, just choose one from the All Herbs mountain ranges, regardless of the difficulty or the reward." Song Yongzhu nodded. She could tell that Emo was prepared to take them away from sect. Emo watched the two women leave and afterwards went to the exchange place to get a Ming Yuan pill. There were also some people there, but far less than at the mission place. A cultivator in his 50s greeted Emo. When he saw that Emo was a Foundation establishment state cultivator, he immediately greeted him hospitably. Although he didn't know why Emo was wearing outer sect member clothes when he was at Foundation establishment state, he didn't dare to ask. "Martial uncle, can I help you?" The cultivator was at stage 9 Qi gathering. Emo nodded. "Is there Ming Yuan pill for trade here?" "A Ming Yuan pill?" The cultivator was dazed, but he immediately reacted and said, "Sorry, Martial uncle. Ming Yuan pills are rare, and they can't usually be redeemed here. You can only get it as a reward for a big mission or as a reward from the sect. Or you can go buy it at pill store." Emo didn't think a mere Ming Yuan pill would be considered as rare pill. This meant that he needed to change his plan. Otherwise, he would be facing a Foundation establishment state peak genius as a Foundation establishment state level 3. Although he had quite a lot of means, even if he could kill Li Bailson, he wouldn't end up so well himself. "Do you have any level 6 or higher runes?" Emo asked. The cultivator quickly nodded. "Martial uncle, there is, but each one requires 5,000 points. 5,000 points? Emo was speechless. The Rainbow Golden Flower mission had only given him 300 and that had been split between 5 people. Emo quickly said, "I don't have enough points, but can I trade with spirit stones or other things?" The cultivator said with difficulty, "Sorry, Martial uncle, we only take points. If you want to exchange other things, it's fine, but you must convert it to points first. 2 low-grade spirit stones can be exchanged for 1 point. Emo cursed. He only had a little more than 10k low-grade spirit stones. Even with all that, he would only be able to buy 1 level 6 rune. A level 6 rune was only 6k spirit stones on the market. Martial brother Yi. When Emo was hesitating, he heard a coarse voice. Emo turned around and saw it was Lu Xingyue. "It's you, Lu Xingyue. Hello." Emo felt happy that she had gotten back to the sect fine. However, her voice had been crisp in the past, but 2 months later, it sounded very coarse and she was skinnier too. Lu Xingyue quickly pulled him to a corner and looked around before saying guiltily, "Martial brother Yi, I caused a lot of trouble bringing you on that mission, sorry. Emo waved his hand. That's all in the past, no need to bring it up. Lu Jinyue felt more guilty. I'm not talking about Tong Jintan, but about Li Balan and Li Bailson. He found marks of Tong Jintan at the scene, so he asked me and Jiang Yi. He realized that it was you who chased Tong Jintan. So he started to doubt you, and then he got your sister and wife involved. So you should hurry up and leave. No wonder Li Bailson knows I killed his brother, Emo thought. But Emo knew that he couldn't blame Lu Jinyue and the others. They were just a few mere chi-gathering cultivators. They wouldn't dare hide anything to Li Bailson. Emo smiled. It's fine, I can't blame you. After all, Li Bailson is a Foundation Establishment State cultivator. I'm about to leave, so I'll see you if fate brings us together again. Lu Jinyue heard this and was dazed. She was confused about why Emo hadn't asked about his wife and sister. She was planning to tell him about it, but she didn't. If Emo didn't want to care about them, asking would be like slapping him in the face. However, why was Emo there at the mission hall looking for missions? He should have been captured by Lu Jinyue immediately. Marshal Brother Yi, take care. I found a burst spirit grass and I want to exchange it for points, so I'm leaving. No matter why Li Bailson hadn't found Emo yet, Lu Jinyue didn't dare to talk to Emo too much, and so she quickly left. The only reason she had pulled Emo to the side was to clear her conscience. Emo had saved her after all. She wouldn't be able to rest at ease without warning Emo. Emo was just about to nod, but he heard the words burst spirit grass and he quickly said, Marshal Sister Lu, did you just say you found the burst spirit grass? Yes? What's wrong, Marshal Brother Yi? Lu Jinyue asked in surprise. Emo immediately said, Marshal Sister, it's very useful to me. Could you give it to me? How many spirit stones do you need? You want it. Lu Jinyue was dazed, but she took it out and gave it to Emo. Since you need it, you can keep it. Never mind about the spirit stones. You saved my life and I owe you. This spirit herb isn't anything good, so you can just keep it. Emo took this spirit herb in delight. The burst spirit herb was a level 3 spirit herb, and it was considered a high-level spirit herb for a chi-gathering cultivator. Its biggest use was to make the burst essence pill. The burst essence pill was a pill that had great side effects. It was a level 3 spirit herb. After eating the burst essence pill, your power would increase a few levels for 2 hours. However, afterwards, your cultivation essence would turn impure and you would need to refine it. There would also be few hours of weakness, and it increases people's sexual impulses. It was just limited to Foundation Establishment State cultivators, but it was much harder to make than the Foundation Establishment pill. However, Emo could make the burst essence pill. Emo wasn't worried about the side effects at all. Even for the sexual impulses, he had Song Yangzhu by his side. I'm off. Take care, Marshal Brother Yi, Lu Jinyue said and quickly tried to leave. Emo stopped Lu Jinyue and said, Wait, this is for you. Emo took out a bottle and said, This pill is very precious. Open it when no one is around you. Okay, thanks for today. Goodbye. Then Emo left. He could understand how she felt. She was very kind to manage to pull him over and tell him this. Lu Jinyue looked at Emo and sighed. She couldn't help Emo. She knew why Emo wanted the burst spirit grass, but she knew that it was a waste. Even if he could get someone to make the pill for him, he would be instantly killed by the false core state Li Bailson. She hoped Emo would manage to leave the sect early and not be stopped by Li Bailson. As for the pill, she really didn't care. What could a stage 8 chi-gathering cultivator give her? So she didn't even open it and just threw it into her storage bag. 2 Marshal sisters were also going to E-City, and the mission you took is also around there. How about we go together? A stage 8 chi-gathering cultivator with sunken eyes stopped Yiling and Song Yangzhu. A white-faced cultivator stood by him. Sorry, we have enough people. Yiling answered and started looking around. Without her brother, she felt insecure. Piss off. Emo walked up to them and yelled. He felt it was such a wise decision to take them away with him. Song Yangzhu and Yiling walked joyfully to Yemo's side. That sunken-eyed cultivator heard this and was about to act up. But when he saw Emo, he ate his words. He couldn't see Yemo's power at all. could only mean that Emo was stronger than him. The other white-faced cultivator was at stage 7 and couldn't tell Yemo's power as well. They could tell that Emo was no ordinary person, so they left without saying anything. Brother, I will cultivate faster. I found that in this place you're nothing if you're weak, Yiling said. Emo nodded and said, of course, it's important to cultivate hard. Yet, if you focus on speed too much, you won't get anywhere either. Okay, we're done, let's go. By the way, how is the mission? Song Yongzhu took out a mission card and said, it's a mission in E-City, 3 to 4 people. We happen to have 3. When they got back to Yemo's place, they found that no one was watching it. Yemo took the 2 women inside and said, I'm going to make a pill. After I make it, I will go to Yen Yuan Peak with you and take silver. Song Yongzhu hesitated and said, how about I go with Yi Ling to take silver back first? That would save some time. Yemo shook his head. Your master said you wouldn't be able to go out easily, so how could you guys have come out so easily? I think someone let you guys out, right? Song Yongzhu was dazed and nodded. Yes, after master left, Big Martial's sister took over Yen Yuan Peak. She's very nice to us. Also, we wanted to see you, so she let us out. How did you know? Yemo sneered. If I had been as naive as you guys, I would have long been devoured. If I'm not wrong, that Big Martial's sister is with Li Bailson. If you guys had stayed at the peak, Li Bailson wouldn't have been able to get you. Yet you guys went outside. Song Yongzhu and Yi Ling hadn't thought that easy to talk to Big Martial's sister could be this hideous. No wonder. Yi Ling thought of something and then shook her head in disappointment. Yemo smiled. Don't think of it too much. I'm going to concoct pills, we'll take silver together later. It wasn't the first time Yemo made the burst essence pill, but it had been in his past life. He had new concocting means now, so he wasn't worried at all. The supplementary herbs for the burst essence pill weren't expensive, so Yemo started immediately and refined the herbs. An hour later, Yemo had made a cauldron of burst essence pills successfully. He only got 2 pills, yet it was enough for him. He only needed 1. Let's go. Yemo felt more secure now. When the 3 of them arrived at the peak, they found that the Big Martial sister wasn't there. This allowed them to take silver without any resistance. Silver was placed in the Golden Page world. Song Yongzhu and Yi Ling left behind a gratitude letter for Li Yuqian and told her the reason why they left with Yemo. Yemo thought Li Bailson would stop them from leaving, but no one did. Yemo, that Li guy isn't stopping us, Song Yongzhu said. Yemo frowned. He felt like things weren't right. There was no way Li Bailson would send back the people watching them, and he didn't believe Li Bailson would let them go either. Perhaps these people realized that brother is at Foundation establishment state and no longer dare to stop us, Yiling said. Yemo shook his head. I've been back to the sect for too long. Even if Li Bailson were at the auction, he would know about it by now. He would have made arrangements. And even if he didn't, with his connections and future prospect in the sect, it would be far too easy for him to hold us back. But we're more than tens of thousands of kilometers away from the sect. Yiling didn't finish because Yemo stopped. Yiling and Song Yongzhu were both on the flying sword, so they looked at Yemo wondering why he had suddenly stopped. Yemo landed on the ground and said to the 2 women, wait for me here. I want to see how capable that Li guy is. Ha ha ha! A hideous laughter sounded and a cold-faced man appeared before them. You've concealed yourself quite well. You can actually notice when I come. No wonder my brother died at your hands. Yemo looked calmly at this middle-aged man and realized why they had managed to leave so easily. That guy wasn't planning on dealing with them in the sect. Perhaps after finding out that he was at Foundation establishment state, he hoped that they would leave the sect. After all, not even a genius member had the right to punish a Foundation establishment state member who did no wrong. Even if he was sure Yemo killed his brother, the sect wouldn't support something with no evidence. You're very smart, not bad. It would have been very easy for me to take care of you in the sect. But I wanted to let you taste the beautiful feeling of a slow death. After I taste your sister and wife, I will let you taste her too. The hate on Li Bailson's face was obvious. Yemo smiled. Your brother Li Balan had a pretty good sword ability. It's a pity that after I killed him I wasn't able to find it. I was very disappointed. Hopefully your storage bag won't disappoint me. Oh, interesting, not storage bag, you have storage ring. Great. You killed my brother indeed. I'm going to eat you. He only suspected Emo before, but now that he admitted it himself, Li Bailson could no longer hold the fury in his heart, as killing intent poured out like a tidal wave. As soon as he said this, a sword light with intense killing intent spined above Yemo's head. At the same time, Yemo felt the air around him condensate and his body was immobile. Yet such a powerful strike got transformed halfway and turned into tens and hundreds of sword chi, each burning with killing intent. Yemo was shook. He hadn't thought that Li Bailson used a single-edged sword and that he didn't control the sword with his spirit sense. Instead, he used it like martial artists in a close-up fight. Truth cultivators fought with magic artifacts, cultivation essence, and other means. Yet Li Bailson, the prodigy of the Zhang Yuan sword sect, used a single-edged sword instead of double-edged one and fought hand-to-hand. It was quite weird. Without thinking too much, Emo started to burn his essence blood and immediately broke free from Li Bailson's bounds. His flying sword turned into hundreds of sword rays, which barely stopped Li Bailson's sword chi. Then, Emo gathered all his cultivation essence and attacked Li Bailson's sword. Clash Emo was smashed tens of meters away and caught by Song Yongzhu and Yi Ling. He spat out blood immediately. It had just been the first clash, but he had to burn essence blood already. Li Bailson wasn't someone he could beat. "Brother, are you okay?" Yi Ling held Emo in a worry and said shakily. They were tens of meters away, but they still had received some cuts by the sword chi, and this was with Emo blocking 99% of the sword chi. "I'm fine." Emo took a Lotus Life pill and the Burst Essence pill. He looked at his flying sword. There was a big crevice, but when he put it down, he let out Shadowless from his foot. He believed that Li Bailson wouldn't be scanning his foot at that moment. Luckily, Li Bailson didn't insist on the attack after that clash, which meant that he wasn't feeling so good either. Li Bailson had just retreated 3 meters and stopped. He stared coldly at Emo. "I underestimated you. You're only at Foundation Establishment State Level 3, yet you could block my Illusion Cloud first strike. No wonder you're so cocky. But my Illusion Cloud strike has 6 strikes. I want to see how many you can block." Emo said to Song Yongzhu and Yi Ling, "Retreat 100 and don't come back." Yi Ling and Song Yongzhu knew they couldn't intervene this time. They only had the sliver of hope that Emo could fight freely. Song Yongzhu made up her mind that if Emo died, she would kill herself immediately instead of getting raped. Emo flicked his flying sword and said, "Li, you've hidden quite a lot too. In a double-edged sword sect, you cultivate a single-edged sword style. If I'm not wrong, the single-edged sword style is your killing move. Come at me. I'm not scared of you." Li Bailson had a smirk. "Those who know about this are already dead. You won't be an exception. I've just reached perfection a few days ago. I wanted to find someone to test it out. You really didn't disappoint me." Emo could feel the Burst Essence pill. His state was going higher level for level 5, level 6. When he reached level 6 peak, he stopped. Emo was shook at how potent this pill was. When the effect was over, would he drop to level 2? Li Bailson clearly felt this too and was dazed. But he quickly reacted. He sneered. "You actually used a Burst Essence pill. But that's right, you won't have a future." Emo used countless sword flowers to bring his flying sword and surrounded Li Bailson. The sword flowers kept splitting. Li Bailson sneered. "Using sword flowers that are only for show, how dare you? Illusion Cloud second strike." As Li Bailson called, he slashed. As soon as Li Bailson attacked with his sword, Emo's expression changed. He hadn't thought the difference between the first and second strike could be this huge. The second strike formed countless whirlpools, which were emitted by Li Bailson's sword will, around them. But when the spinning whirlpool swords had just taken form, Emo's sword flowers transformed into hundreds of gleaming sword rays. The sword rays and the second strike clashed together, making ear-shrieking sounds. Li Bailson's face changed. He realized that after taking the Burst Essence pill, Emo's cultivation essence was clearly on par with him. The sword flowers could stop his eddy sword chi. He didn't dare believe this at all. Even though Yimo was now at Foundation Establishment State Level 6, he was also at False Core State. Moreover, although he was at False Core State, his cultivation essence was much higher than a usual False Core State cultivator's. This meant that Yimo was invincible in Foundation Establishment State simply as a Foundation Establishment State middle stage. This person must be killed today, or there would be endless disaster. Li Bailson made up his mind and stopped caring about getting injured. The sword was gradually forming the third strike, and he took out a few runes too. They were all level 5 or even 6 runes. He knew that Yimo wouldn't be able to last long with the burst essence pill, but he didn't dare to make that risk. If Yimo got away, even if he got Yimo's wife and sister, he wouldn't be able to rest assured. However, he was assuming everyone was like him, because he would run away on his own if he was in his shoes. He didn't know Yimo's character, but Yimo would never leave behind his wife and sister. The 3-birth sword ray barely blocked Li Bailson's eddy sword chi and annihilated it. However, his sword ray also disappeared completely. Couldn't keep growing unless he used his spirit sense and created new ones. He realized that no matter how quickly his 3-birth sword ray worked, it wouldn't be as fast as Li Bailson's sword chi. When Li Bailson was going to use the third strike, Yimo forcibly used Winter's arrival from his sea of consciousness. An overwhelming frost spread out to Li Bailson. Even from 300 meters away, Song Yongzhu and Yi Ling could feel that bone-chilling frigidness, and they couldn't help but to hug each other for warmth. Meanwhile, Li Bailson, who wanted to use his rune, was slowed down by the frost. He could tell was Yimo's killing move, so without thinking, he activated his cultivation essence and the frost started to melt. So strong. It was Yimo's first time attacking with Winter's arrival. Yet in less than 3 seconds, Li Bailson broke free. Even though his Winter's arrival was incomplete and he was too weak, one could still see Li Bailson's power from his reaction. However, Yimo only needed those few seconds. His flying sword had gathered all his cultivation essence and shot at Li Bailson, who hadn't used the third strike yet. "You're asking to die," Li Bailson roared. His sword clashed against Yimo's flying sword again. Yimo was thrown in the air, but he just spun in mid-air. Then, the flying sword left his hand and attacked Li Bailson again. When it was a few meters from Li Bailson, countless sword rays left the flying sword and Yimo spat some blood. It was the first time he used spirit sense and cultivation essence to activate the 3-birth sword ray. Li Bailson's expression became serious. He had only seen the sword rays twice. However, he felt that despite Yimo not having used the sword ray to its full power yet, he wasn't scared as he had the third strike. That was sword manipulation. The 2 strikes before were for mortals, but the third strike was an immortal sword technique. That person was too dangerous. Li Bailson was just about to use the third strike when he shook. He felt as though something had gotten inside his body. Not good. He immediately realized that he had been ambushed by Yimo. Without thinking, he activated a shield and tried to leave. He had to force the thing out of his body first, even if he couldn't kill Yimo first. Yimo's sword rays slashed the shield. Instantly, there were hundreds of marks on it. Yimo could tell that Shadowless had succeeded, so he used cultivation essence and shot the shield. Crack. Li Bailson was using most of his cultivation essence to force out Shadowless. Hence, his shield couldn't block much and was sliced open by Yimo's sword. Multiple sword rays passed through, piercing Li Bailson's body. "I'm going to kill you, you shameless person." Li Bailson was heavily injured and tried to use his runes. But as soon as he turned around, he stopped halfway in a daze. His face was full of terror. He couldn't even activate his runes. A few moments later, Li Bailson suddenly knelt down and looked dazedly at Yimo. Despair and dissatisfaction flashed across his eyes. He opened his mouth, as though wanting to say something, but he couldn't say anything. Yimo wiped the blood from his mouth and carefully approached him. He was afraid that Li Bailson was pretending to be dead. But when Li Bailson's body quickly got dry, his head began to tingle. Soon, a pea-sized bug flew to Yimo's palm. This bug was a little darker now, but the golden patch had gotten more than twice as large. Yimo looked at the bug in his hand and couldn't say a word. He knew how powerful Li Bailson was. He might have not been his match even after taking the burst essence pill. Yet, such a cultivator had been crushed by a tiny bug. Shadowless saw Emo look at him and growled, as though he's showing off. "You're harsh." Emo spat these words and threw Shadowless into the golden page world. What kind of ancient breed was this? It was this terrifying, and it was only on its infant stage. What could this guy do when it grew up? Of course, it had to do with Emo distracting Li Bailson as well. "Brother, did you really kill Li Bailson?" Yiling called out in joy. He. Song Yongzhu looked at the bony Li Bailson and got scared. Emo didn't know how to explain, so he just took the storage ring and the sword before burning Li Bailson and said, "Let's go, we shouldn't stay here." As soon as they left, another woman who had her face covered was staring at where Li Bailson had died in a daze. After flying 10,000 kilometers away, Emo suddenly said, "The effects of the pill have passed. Let's rest for a while. I'm going to see if this Li has a flying artifact." The three of them found a quiet place to land. Emo opened Li Bailson's storage ring and found there were nearly 3,000 top-grade spirit stones, some pills, herbs, and materials. There were a few jade slips and 2 jade cards. One was the sex, another had the word Li. A flying wind pike. Emo took out a pike-shaped magic artifact from Li Bailson's storage ring. "Brother, is this a flying magic artifact?" Yiling glanced at the rocket-looking thing and asked. Emo nodded. "Yes, it's a low-grade spirit flying artifact. It's not even Li Bailson's. I understand that Li went to the auction for this. That's why he didn't have many spirit stones. I'll start spirit controlling the flying cloud pike. Yangzhu and Yiling, burn all of the clothes on you right now and wash your hair too," Emo said. Song Yangzhu was dazed, but she didn't ask anything. However, Yiling's face turned red. "Brother, what did you say?" "It was just a small cave." Song Yangzhu was Emo's wife, so it was fine for her to take off her clothes. But how could she? Emo also realized that his words sounded wrong, so he immediately said, "Since Li Bailson managed to follow us here, he must have planted a spirit sense mark on you. However, I checked before and didn't find anything. No matter what kind of spirit sense mark he made, it should just be on your clothes. Hence, it should be gone after you take a shower and change your clothes." Song Yangzhu said, "Husband, I can change clothes here, but Yiling doesn't have a place to." Emo knew what she meant. It was her first time calling him her husband. He immediately said, "We can't think much about that right now. Change quickly. After you're done, get on the flying cloud pike with Yiling and run. I need to recover. I'll turn my back to you guys, hurry." Then, Emo started to focus on spirit controlling the flying cloud pike. No matter the reason, the Zhang Yuan sword sect wasn't going to let things go easily when their genius member had been killed. All he could do now was get as far away as possible. Song Yangzhu and Yiling also realized the emergency of the situation and didn't dare to hesitate. They quickly changed their clothes. They washed their bodies and hair with a clear water spell and changed into a clean set of clothes. At this time, Emo had already spirit controlled the flying cloud pike. By the time the two women had burned their clothes, Emo could barely stand. The burst essence pill was very strong, but the side effects were huge indeed. Emo gave the flying cloud pike for Yiling to control. He could only let Song Yangzhu carry him. Song Yangzhu carried Emo onto the pike while Yiling controlled. She made it bigger as they dashed into the sky. Emo said, "Keep flying south. Don't be afraid of wasting spirit stones. It runs on top-grade spirit stones and I have 3,000 here. Just use it." Other than the control room, the pike had a small room of about 8 SQM. However, it was pretty good for even ordinary golden core state cultivators. The reason Emo allowed Yiling to control the pike and fly south was because it was so fast that an ordinary foundation establishment state cultivator wouldn't be able to catch up. An ordinary golden core state cultivator wouldn't try to rob them for a low-grade spirit artifact. 6 hours later, Emo called Song Yangzhu into the room and left Yiling outside to control the flying pike. Just when she was about to go find out why her brother had called Song Yangzhu in, she heard Song Yangzhu's muffled moan. Yiling wasn't married. but she immediately realized what was going on. She didn't understand why her brother was in such a hurry, but she knew her brother wasn't lustful. Yiling could only pretend she didn't hear anything, but after a while she actually didn't hear anything. She realized that her brother must have set up a sound barrier formation. Emo was doing this to remove the side effects of the burst spirit pill, of course. Moreover, the last time they had something intimate was half a year ago. Song Yangzhu was cold on the outside, but very fiery on the inside. Emo hadn't even told her he needed her for the burst essence pill, but she was already grabbing Emo excitedly. She had long wanted to do it, but she hadn't had the chance in the past half a year until then. They took off their clothes one by one. Song Yangzhu didn't even need foreplay. She was already uncontrollable. In just a moment, Song Yangzhu couldn't resist the joyful sensation and moaned. Emo remembered that Yiling was outside and blushed. He quickly set up a sound barrier formation. A few hours later, Yiling saw Song Yangzhu, who had messy hair and a bright red face, walk outside. There was a sense of satisfaction on her face. Yiling was speechless. Were all women with husbands this audacious? Song Yangzhu saw Yiling's glance and blushed even more. She explained awkwardly, "Your brother had some side effects after taking the burst essence pill." Yiling burst out in laughter. "Sister-in-law, it's your turn to man the wheel. I'm going inside to rest and prepare some food. Even if my brother hadn't taken the burst essence pill, would you have been able to hold back?" Song Yangzhu heard this, and instead, she no longer felt shy about it. She laughed and said, "I wouldn't have." Yiling hadn't expected this reply and was immediately defeated. "I will never discuss such things with a married woman again. I surrender." Zhang Yuan's sword sect. Lu Jinyue had just gone back to her place. She was scared that Emo would come to find her again. She wanted to get a mission, but thinking that she was about to reach stage 9, she no longer was in the mood. Just when she was hesitating, Huang Ping suddenly went to visit her. Huang Ping saw Lu Jinyue's worry and quickly said, "Sister Zhangyue, does Emo know you're back?" Lu Jinyue nodded. Huang Ping immediately said, "Sister Zhangyue, do you know what level Emo is at right now? Isn't he at stage 8 Qi gathering? Is he at stage 9 now?" Lu Jinyue said. Huang Ping said quietly, "Emo is at Foundation Establishment State Cultivator now." A newly ascended Foundation Establishment State Qianbei sealed off Emo's place, and his Dantian was destroyed. What? It has only been a few months. Emo reached Foundation Establishment State Level 1 from Stage 8 Qi Gathering. Lu Jinyue was shook. This was too fast. Huang Ping said again, "I heard Emo left the sect a few hours ago. He took his sister and wife." "What?" Lu Jinyue was shook. How could Li Baisun let them go? Huang Ping said, "The strange thing is that he didn't send anyone to stop Emo. Instead, he let him leave. He didn't even send anyone to follow them." Lu Jinyue calmed down and said, "If I'm not wrong, Li Baisun went after them personally. Jiang Yi and I are planning to get another mission. Do you want to go?" Huang Ping asked. Lu Jinyue shook her head. She was too tired. She needed to rest. She believed that as long as she didn't make a mistake, Li Baisun wouldn't look for trouble with someone like her. Seeing Huang Ping leave, Lu Jinyue suddenly thought of the pill Emo had given her. Emo had said it was a very precious pill. He was at Foundation Establishment State. It shouldn't be an ordinary pill. Foundation Establishment pill? Lu Jinyue saw the pill and exclaimed. Her hands shook, almost dropping the pill. It was an immeasurable treasure for Qi gathering cultivators. River State City was a rather big cultivation city in the North Far State. It was one those few cities that weren't managed by the big sections. It was managed by a few power factions. The city lord was from the Zhang family, who was said to have a hollow spirit state peak cultivator. He was one step away from body condensation state. Even a 5-star sect wouldn't easily mess with such a cultivator. At this moment, Emo took Song Yangzhu and Yiling into River City State. It was half a month after they had left the Zhang Yuan sword sect. "Brother, will we be living here from now on?" Yiling looked at the grand city walls and asked. Emo nodded. "Yes, we need to find a place to settle. If we keep running around like this, our powers will never increase. Moreover, there have been quite a lot of people wanting to stop us on the way, but we're just faster. Then, are we renting or buying a cultivation home? What business will we do to get resources? Yiling knew that they needed resources to settle down and cultivate. Without it, they might as well live in a far-off place. Emo already had a plan. Don't worry about cultivation resources. This city has a spirit meridian below the city and a spirit gathering formation. The spirit chi here is much better than at the Zhongyuan sword sect. Emo thought and said, we have limited spirit stones, so we won't be able to afford a cultivation home for sure. So let's rent a place first. You guys can just cultivate, I will go earn some spirit stones. Then we can buy our own shop and start up a business in this city. Brother. Yiling looked worriedly at Emo. She knew her brother was very capable, but this was Luoyu continent and it was completely different to Earth. On Earth, he was the only cultivator, so he stood on top of everyone and no one could touch him. But there, everyone was a cultivator and there were too many people stronger than her brother. Yiling felt that it was hard to build their own power. Song Yangzhu smiled. Yiling, don't worry about your brother. He can do it for sure. When lived in Ninghai, he was also very poor. He started at an even lower position than now. Even an ordinary ancient martial artist could beat him, but he still built Luoyu City. How do you know about that? Yiling thought that Song Yangzhu had met her brother later on. Song Yangzhu didn't say anything. After she lost her virginity to Emo, she researched everything about him. Yiling didn't pursue it. Brother, what do you intend to use to earn spirit stones? Emo immediately answered. I'm planning to start a pill business. Although I'm starting from scratch, I believe I can do it. Yiling suddenly said, Brother, why don't I call it China Pharmaceuticals? This way, those who know about China will come to us. If Sister Luoying and Xianxia hear about this, they will come too. Emo smiled. I was thinking that too. Yiling was dazed and said, Brother, you made a Luoyu Pharmaceuticals on Earth. Did you come from Luoyu to Earth? Yiling then patted her head. I'm thinking too much. Emo was shook. Yiling was right. He actually had done that. They applied for citizenship at the city management office and rented a small shop. It cost 20,000 low-grade spirit stones and they only paid for half a year's rent. The shop was small, but it had 2 rooms and a kitchen. The only inconvenient was that it was a bit far away. Regardless, after settling down, Emo was left with no spirit stones at all anymore. He had a lot of valuable items, but he didn't dare sell them. Compared to the busy city, the tiny China Pharmaceuticals opening was insignificant. There were only 3 people in China Pharmaceuticals, the boss and 2 waiters. Although Song Yangzhu and Yiling were both pretty, in the cultivation realm they weren't really outstanding. 3 days later, Yiling couldn't sit tight anymore and said worriedly, Brother, we've opened our shop for 3 days and we haven't sold 1 pill. Most people don't know what China Pharmaceuticals is. Should we change our shop's name to China Pill Tower? If things continue like this for 3 months, we won't have enough to survive. Song Yangzhu laughed. We're just a small shop. We can't call ourselves Pill Tower. Emo also realized that if they continued like this, they really might not get any clients. He might as well go out and set up a stall again then. On the 4th day after China Pharmaceuticals' opening, huge news stormed the entire city. China Pharmaceuticals was selling Qi-increasing pills, essence-increasing pills, great essence-increasing pills, rejuvenation pills, essence-rejuvenation pills, essence-benefit pills, and many other types of pills. The first few types didn't matter, but the essence-rejuvenation pills and the essence-benefit pills were pills that Foundation Establishment State cultivators used. Essence-rejuvenation pills were for essence recovery and healing. Meanwhile, essence benefit pills were for cultivation before Foundation Establishment State Level 6. It was more precious. Both pills were spirit grade Level 3 pills. Even ordinary pill towers might not have it. But this wasn't the most shocking news. The most shocking news were that the shop had 1 face-preserving pill and 1 Foundation Establishment pill. Both pills weren't hard to make, but the face-preserving pill was priceless. But to most, the Foundation Establishment pill was more important. Cultivation was much more important than looks. Even the big pill towers had limited amounts of foundation establishment pills. Even if they did, they would sell them in auctions. How could they sell them together with ordinary pills? Everyone rushed to China Pharmaceuticals to see how they were selling the two pills. The reason EMO had taken out these two pills was also for a matter of gambling. No matter where, those with little courage starved to death and those with big courage had plenty. He had to start off with a high profile to get China Pharmaceuticals' name out. As long as he got his name out, more and more people would come to him for pills. He would get to know more people and get more connections. The city was rather safe, and as long as he stayed in it, even if some people desired his fortune, they couldn't do anything. When he got more wealth, he would be able to turn it into power. In less than 2 hours, China Pharmaceuticals' door was filled with all sorts of cultivators. China Pharmaceuticals sells pills. Such a strange name. Yes, I saw this place open up a few days ago. I didn't think it was a pill shop. A foundation establishment pill? Is that real or fake? Unless they don't want to run a business anymore, it can't be fake. Wait. Let me see how this foundation establishment pill is sold. China Pharmaceuticals' prices were the same as other pill towers. Although EMO wanted to sell them cheaper, he didn't have the power to do so. Without enough power, lowering the price wasn't a small deal. Offending the big pill businesses was no laughing matter. China Pharmaceuticals didn't have a big facade, but its advertisement was really good. It clearly wrote that the foundation establishment pill would be sold to the 300th customer for 100,000 spirit stones. If the 300th customer didn't want it, it would be sold to the next one. The face-preserving pill would not be sold. Selling the foundation establishment pill for 100,000 spirit stones wasn't very expensive. It was rather cheap, but EMO didn't want to earn money from it. He wanted to use it to bring fame to China Pharmaceuticals. So he would even sell it for 1,000 spirit stones. Almost everyone who had the money was rubbing their palms. Many chi-gathering peak cultivators hadn't been able to reach foundation establishment state for a long time. They had all saved up spirit stones to buy the foundation establishment pill. It's opening. With a call, the doors of China Pharmaceuticals opened. All the cultivators waiting at the door went inside, as though if they arrived a little later, they wouldn't get the foundation establishment pill. Yi Ling and Song Yangzhu were dazed at the bustling cultivators at the door. They finally realized what madness was. It was just a foundation establishment pill, but it caused such a ruckus. The store's front, that used to be empty, was now filled with a sea of people. This, Song Yangzhu sighed. No matter where EMO was, he would always cause a big commotion. EMO stood at the door and his foundation establishment state level temperament exploded. He has plenty of cultivation essence and his spirit sense was strong. The power he exerted was the same as a foundation establishment state tertiary stage cultivators. People felt his power and calmed down. If they offended a foundation establishment state tertiary stage cultivator, he could annihilate them at any time. Even if he couldn't kill someone in the city, one couldn't stay in the city forever. Furthermore, he could open a pill shop, which meant that there was a pill master behind him. A pill master's power was not simple. Even a golden core state wouldn't want to offend the lowest grade spirit grade pill master. Everyone, EMO waited for the people to be a little more quiet before saluting his fist. Today's the opening of our China Pharmaceuticals. My master left me 2 foundation establishment pills. I've used one for foundation establishment state and now there's one left. This one will be sold to the fortunate person. No matter who you are, if you're the 300th to come and buy something from my shop, you have the right to buy the pill. Of course, you can give up your right too. Qianbei, will your master be able to get more foundation establishment pills? Someone from the crowd asked. EMO laughed. Good question. Although we don't have a solid foundation, my master has powerful origins. I'm not even sure if my master can get more foundation establishment pills, but I can assure everyone that my master will come to this city in a year. If there's more, we will sell them for sure. EMO thought that in a year later he would at least be at foundation establishment state middle stage, and maybe even tertiary stage. If he were at foundation establishment state tertiary stage, he would be able to deal with an ordinary golden core state. In order to not decrease the popularity of China pharmaceuticals, of course he wouldn't tell them there would be no more. Okay. Now let the sales begin. Please stay in order. Those who cut in line will have to leave. Emo waved his hand. There was just one foundation establishment pill, but many people wanted to see how the other pills were. After all, the benefit essence pill was also very precious for a foundation establishment state cultivator. People stayed in an orderly fashion. Yiling and Song Yangzhu were both very busy. Some people bought a bottle, some bought a few. The supplies Emo had were soon depleted. As more and more bottles were sold, joyful discussions sounded. They found out that China Pharmaceuticals pills were much better than the pills of other pill towers. They had less impurities and stronger effects, but their prices were the same as other pill towers. With this joyful discovery, Emo's pills got sold even faster. Soon, the 300th customer arrived and he was a stage 7 qi gathering cultivator. He had come to buy the great essence increasing pill, but he hadn't expected that he would be this lucky. When Emo saw that the cultivator was in a daze for a long time, he realized that the cultivator didn't have the ability nor the intention to buy the foundation establishment pill. The cultivator behind the stage 7 also saw this. He was a male cultivator in his 60s. He looked old and he'd gone in the line to see if he would be lucky enough to be the 300th customer. The old cultivator pulled the young cultivator aside and said shakily, "This is a bottle of great essence increasing pill. Move aside." That young cultivator agreed and moved aside. It was a win-win situation. Emo saw the old cultivator buy the foundation establishment pill and said, "Everyone, the lucky one to buy the foundation establishment pill has appeared. He is this man. Let's wish him success in foundation establishment." Many people got disappointed and half of the long queue disappeared, but Emo wasn't worried. He had reached his goal. It's Sun Jitsai. Isn't he a pill master himself? Why did he buy pills here? Someone saw the old cultivator and said, "He's just a mortal level pill master." Hearing this, Emo had an idea. He had seen Sun Jitsai excitedly hold the foundation establishment pill and almost start crying. Emo walked up to him immediately. "Friend, hello, I'm Emo, the owner of China Pharmaceuticals. Congratulations on getting the foundation establishment pill. I wish you a successful foundation establishment," Emo said. Sun Jitsai put the foundation establishment pill away and bowed. "Yichimbe, thank you. Thank you for letting me buy this pill." Emo smiled. "It's completely your luck that you were able to buy it. I heard you're a pill master, right?" Sun Jitsai quickly nodded. "Yes, I come from a pill-making family. However, my family passed away and I've become a solo cultivator now. I can only make some mortal-level pills." Emo waved his hand. "That's fine. I'm saying this because we're in shortage of people right now. If you're still willing to make pills after you reach foundation establishment state, you can come to China Pharmaceuticals. Of course, although we have just opened, we won't mistreat you. You will have the pills you need for foundation establishment state." Sun Jitsai was dazed and said excitedly, "Qianbei, I can only make some mortal-level pills though." Emo smiled. "If you become a pill master at China Pharmaceuticals, of course, I won't just let you make mortal-level pills. Moreover, I'm a spirit-level pill master. I can teach you a few things." "Huh!" Sun Jitsai was dazed. Such good fortune had fallen upon him. Being taught by a spirit-level pill master was no easier than reaching foundation establishment. Yet he had gotten both. "Master, I'm willing." Sun Jitsai knelt down on the ground. Emo was speechless. He pulled Sun Jitsai up. "You're not my disciple. I'm just giving you a few pointers. Boss Yi, nice business you have." A plain voice sounded. It was plain, but Emo still felt his ears vibrate. That man's power was no weaker than Li Bison's. He was probably a false core state cultivator. Emo turned around and saw that the man looked like he was in his 40s. He seemed astute and it looked like he had killing chi on him. He had just started his business, yet someone had already come. Emo knew that he wasn't familiar with this place. In order to stay there, he needed to keep increasing his power and get to know the power distribution of the city. Emo said to Sun Jitsai, "Brother Sun, go reach foundation establishment first. After you're done, come work here. Sun Jizai bowed and left. However, when he walked up to that middle-aged cultivator, he bowed again. Greetings, all Pill Tower Manager Peng. The manager sneered. Emo nodded. He was having a better impression of Sun Jizai already. Sun Jizai knew what he had done would displease the manager, but he still told him who the man was. If he knew who this man was, it would be much better for negotiating than to talk with a mysterious person. Emo knew that the All Pill Tower was one of the 3 big pill towers in the River State City. It ranked second and it was a franchise. There were many other outlets in the cities of the North Far State. It was rather strong. After Sun Jizai left, Emo saluted the manager with his fist slowly and said, "Friend, what purpose do you have here?" The manager was already unhappy that Emo hadn't greeted him first, and now Emo didn't even invite him inside. Manager Peng was annoyed, but his face was very calm. "I'm the manager of the All Pill Tower, Peng Shiping. I have some important things to discuss with Boss Yi." "What? Are you not going to invite me in?" Emo sneered. This guy clearly didn't have good intentions, yet he acted superior in front of him. "So, it's Manager Peng of the All Pill Tower. Our shop just opened and it's rather small. If Manager Peng has anything to say, just say it here." Emo didn't give a shit about this Manager Peng. He was planning to build a business there, but he wouldn't suck up to someone like this. Even if the boss of the All Pill Tower went there personally and acted like this, Emo wouldn't care either. "Brother, we've sold out all of our pills today." Yiling quietly came up and said to Emo. Emo nodded and walked to the front door. He called, "Friends, thank you for your support today. We've sold out all of our pills today. Please come again tomorrow. I'll also announce other news. Starting from today, this store will concoct pills for others." This created quite the ripple. Concocting pills for people was no simple promise. It was what big pill towers did. That little shop, China Pharmaceuticals, dared to concoct pills for others? Peng Shiping was about to rage when Emo left him behind to make the announcement. However, after he heard it, he calmed down instead. "I didn't think Boss Yi was a pill master. Respect, respect. Since you're helping people concoct pills, why don't you specify what grade pills you can make? What if someone asks you for a spirit grade or heaven grade pill? Can Boss Yi make it too?" Peng Shiping's tone had gotten very soft now. Emo sneered. Did he think he could understand his plans? But he laughed. "I forgot to mention it just now. Yet, if someone in River State City wants pills made, it would have to be at most a spirit grade level 1. Boss Yi can make spirit grade pills?" Peng Shiping was shook now. He hadn't thought this not very powerful boss was actually a spirit grade pill master. Emo didn't answer as he had heard 2 more people come to the door. One was a middle-aged man in his 50s who looked very handsome. The other man had a goatee, but he looked like he was in his 30s. What shook Emo was that the handsome man was actually a Golden Core State tertiary stage cultivator, and that Golden Core State man clearly didn't know that Emo could see his power. He walked inside and saluted with his fist. "Boss Yi is so young, but he is already a spirit grade pill master. I really didn't expect this. I'm the city lord of River State City, Zhang Chengfeng. I came to visit you. I hope Pill Master won't mind." Emo was shook. He hadn't expected that the city lord would go to visit him personally. This city was co-owned by many power factions, and the city lord was clearly one of the bigger power factions. Yet such a person had gone to visit Emo personally and acted quite respectfully. Even though Emo knew he had come for the face-preserving pill, Emo approved of this man's charisma. The city lord had come, so it was perfect for him to enact his plans. The city lord then pointed at the goatee man. "This is Immortal Treasure Tower's manager Yan Zheng. We met on the way here, so we came over together." Yan Zheng quickly saluted with his fist. "Yan Zheng, greet Pill Master Yi." His tone was countless times better than Peng Shiping's. Clearly, in their hearts, Emo's Pill Master was much better than his boss, who was at Foundation Establishment State status. Although he didn't really like men with goatees due to Dongfang Shi, Yan Zheng was really polite. Emo knew about the Immortal Treasure Tower too. It was the biggest pill tower in the city, but it also sold magic artifacts and spirit artifacts too. Emo quickly saluted with his fists too and said, I didn't think City Lord Zhang and Manager Yen would personally come to my humble place. Please come in and have a seat. Yiling, make some tea. Peng Shiping's face was green. When he had walked inside, Emo ignored him. Yet now he was so polite to Zhang Chengfeng and Yen Zheng. However, he still saluted Zhang Chengfeng. Peng Shiping greet City Lord Zhang and Brother Yen. Zhang Chengfeng smiled and just nodded, while Yen Zheng laughed. I didn't think Manager Peng would be this fast. When Emo sat down with these people, Yiling and Song Yangzhu sat by Yemo's side. They were a little anxious due to these people's power. Emo knew they had all come for the face-preserving pill, so he said, I believe City Lord Zhang and the two managers have come for the face-preserving pill my master left behind. Yes, Pill Master Yi is straightforward. My wife isn't in town now, but she heard of the appearance of the face-preserving pill and asked me to buy it immediately. Please sell the pill to me, Brother Yi. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for me to deal with her, Zhang Chengfeng said. Emo really liked the way the city lord talked, but it seemed his wife had control over him. Peng Shiping quickly said, Boss Yi, our all pill tower heard your shop has a face-preserving pill, so our boss told us to buy this pill no matter what. As for the price, Boss Yi, you name it, even a few millions or tens of millions is fine. However, Yen Zheng sneered, Nice plans, Manager Peng. You guys are about to hold an auction. A few million spirit stones? You buy it here for a few million spirit stones, and then you would sell it for a few million middle-grade spirit stones. Emo Hand thought the face-preserving pill would be worth this much money. A middle-grade spirit stone was worth 10 low-grade spirit stones. But he still got up and saluted with his fist. Thanks for your support, but the face-preserving pill is a treasure to the shop. I wasn't planning on selling it. As soon as Emo said this, everyone was dazed. Everyone who had gone to visit Emo today had an important background. Each one of them wasn't someone that the China Pharmaceuticals could reject. They could easily annihilate China Pharmaceuticals. They hadn't gone there for the shop nor Emo, a mere spirit grade level 1 pill master. It was for the face-preserving pill. Although Emo had taken out the face-preserving pill for that day and never intended not to sell it, he wasn't happy with how they were passively coercing him. This was all because he didn't have power. If he had power, then even if he had the immortal face pill, no one would dare say anything. Emo saw their faces looked bad and quickly said, You guys misunderstand me. I don't plan to sell it. But after seeing how much City Lord Zhang loves his wife, I am deeply touched. Today, I would like to gift City Lord Zhang this pill to fulfill his wishes. Emo knew the importance of picking a side. If he hesitated now, he would offend all three of them. He had already offended Peng Shiping, hence Zhang Chengfeng had the biggest power in the city. Although he didn't know if Zhang Chengfeng's character was really that good too, he seemed okay. That Yen Zheng also seemed to be close to Zhang Chengfeng on the surface. The reason Emo didn't worry about Zhang Chengfeng just taking it and not helping him was due to the fact that Zhang Chengfeng seemed straightforward and didn't look down on him. However, he felt like it could be due to him coming here out of respect for his wife, and not for him nor the shop. If it was the latter, Emo was sure that Zhang Chengfeng would take the pill and not help him because he believed that China Pharmaceuticals was not worth his help. However, he had only known Zhang Chengfeng for a short time, so he couldn't tell. He could only try his luck. He didn't really care about one face-preserving pill. If it had been something else, then even if it meant that Emo would have had to leave the city, he wouldn't have done it. The three men were dazed. They hadn't thought Emo was that generous. This pill was worth tens of millions of spirit stones. Emo clearly didn't have enough on his hand, or he wouldn't have rented the shop at that far-off corner. Emo had decided to give the pill away in this situation, which meant that he was no short-sighted person. Zhang Chengfeng was dazed and reacted first. He quickly waved his hand. Boss Yi, how can I let you do that? This pill is so precious. I can't take it for free. It's already a huge favor that Boss Yi is willing to sell it to me. However, his face didn't show that at all. Emo's heart sunk. He realized that he had seen wrongly this time. Zhang Chengfeng was very handsome and straightforward, but he was the type that didn't care about others' survival in order to reach his goal. Although Yemo had realized this, he still acted. City Lord Zhang, I respect those who value relationships. Since you're willing to come here personally for your wife, I would like to know someone like you. If you look down on me, then pay me spirit stones. Ha ha ha. Zhang Chengfeng laughed and got up. Brother Yi, I admire your straightforward character. Okay, I'll accept your goodwill. Don't call me City Lord Zhang from now on. I won't call you Boss Yi either. We'll call each other brothers. Yemo laughed. In that case, Brother Zhang, I won't be so polite with you. However, Yemo was sure that if the All-Pill Tower really attacked China Pharmaceuticals, Zhang Chengfeng would never help Yemo. But thinking that the pill was still a symbol of goodwill, it should make the All-Pill Tower have some concern. That would be fine. He needed time the most right now. Congratulations, City Lord Zhang, on getting what you desired. Yan Zheng congratulated him first. Peng Shiping was helpless and congratulated him too. But Yemo saw clearly the bleak look he hid under his eyes. Yangzhu, bring the pill, Yemo said. Song Yangzhu got up to get the pill. They were shook. They had both taken it, but they hadn't thought it was this valuable. Manager Peng, did you get the pill? A voice sounded and a young man wobbled into Yemo's shop full of arrogance. Peng Shiping's expression looked bad. He said politely to the young man, Young master, it belongs to City Lord Zhang now. What? The young man frowned and looked at Zhang Chengfeng and Yan Zheng. He wasn't satisfied, but he could only salute Zhang Chengfeng. So Uncle Zhang came personally. Congratulations. He only nodded at Yan Zheng. Are you the boss of China Pharmaceuticals? A Foundation Establishment State Level 3 cultivator? Not bad. Yet you dare to open a shop here with your measly power. You're quite bold. The young master was clearly unhappy that he hadn't gotten the pill. Zhang Chengfeng frowned, but he didn't speak. Peng Shiping coughed, wanting to remind the young master not to look for trouble with Yemo. However, the young master didn't know Yemo had just given the pill to Zhang Chengfeng. As soon as the young master said this, he saw Song Yangzhu, who was bringing the pill over, and his eyes brightened up. She looked even prettier after being nourished by Yemo, and her body was exceptional. Her slightly troubled look because of thinking about her daughter made her all the more enticing. I didn't think I would get a pretty lady instead of getting the face-preserving pill today. Great. The young master walked up to Song Yangzhu. Yemo sneered. He wanted the young master to do something now. He hadn't given him the pill yet, and he believed that no matter how much Zhang Chengfeng didn't want trouble with the All-Pill Tower, he would have to stand up for him. But just when Zhang Chengfeng was about to say something, Yemo walked up, kicked the young master, and punched his kneecaps. The young master didn't care about Yemo, as he was at Foundation Establishment State Level 5 and Peng Shiping was at False Core State. However, Yemo's both punches landed on the young master. Even though the young master was about to react when Yemo attacked, Yemo's cultivation essence was a lot stronger than his and took him by surprise. A thud followed after two cracking sounds. The young master was kicked out of the shop and landed on the streets. Zhang Chengfeng smiled, as though nothing had happened. The moment Yemo moved, he knew his purpose. Although he could stop it, he didn't. He didn't want trouble with the All-Pill Tower now. But he didn't need to go help them either. It was fine for him to give this little help for a free face-preserving pill, but that was about it. Yemo knew that Zhang Chengfeng had had the opportunity to stop it. If he had, he would have known that there was no point in trying to connect with him. He would have immediately found an excuse to borrow spirit stones. Once he got the spirit stones, he would have left River State City immediately. How dare you attack the young master of the All-Pill Tower? City Lord Zhang. This Yemo dares to attack people in this city. Peng Shiping hadn't had the ability to help at the spur of the moment. He wanted to attack Yemo, but he knew Zhang Chengfeng had taken Yemo's pill, so he could only settle things with Zhang Chengfeng first. If he chose not to attack, then he could do whatever he wanted to Yemo. Yemo said plainly. Manager Peng, City Lord Zhang also saw what happened just then. I believe City Lord Zhang will deal with things with justice. I'm just like City Lord Zhang, someone who values husband-wife relationship. Your all-pill piece of trash dares to assault my wife. It's his luck that I haven't killed him already. Zhang Chengfeng nodded. I saw what happened just then. It was indeed the all-pill tower young master's fault. I support what Brother Yi did. City Lord Zhang, this EMO is just a foreigner. Are you really going to side with him? Peng Shiping said. EMO laughed. I have a way to placate your anger. Your young master likes to assault wives, right? You can take him home to assault your wife. How dare you dash Peng Shiping was about to rage. Zhang Chengfeng sneered, but he didn't talk. He was clearly unhappy. Peng Shiping heard this and realized it was impossible to teach EMO a lesson at that moment. He thought and got up saluting Zhang Chengfeng and Yan Zheng, before taking his young master and leaving. Ha ha ha! Yan Zheng saw this and gave EMO a thumbs up. Brother Yi is indeed fearless. You even gave the young master of the all-pill tower a beating. However, his father Lu Juqing is the boss of the River State branch. He's at Golden Core State peak stage. Said he's trying to reach nascent soul state. With the all-pill tower's abundant resources, it will just be a matter of time. EMO was quite shocked indeed. He had thought a branch boss would at most be at Golden Core State middle stage. He could stall around a Golden Core State cultivator, but against a nascent soul state cultivator, he wouldn't even be able to talk. As though seeing EMO's worry, Zhang Chengfeng laughed and said, Brother Yi, don't worry. Just develop your China pharmaceuticals in this city. I don't think that the all-pill tower dares to cross the line here. EMO saluted him. Thank you, Brother Zhang. I'll stay in this city. Please take this face-preserving pill. Then he gave the pill to Zhang Chengfeng looking very willing. However, EMO cursed in his heart. None of these guys were easy to deal with. Zhang Chengfeng got his pill, yet he had only said a few meaningless words. Zhang Chengfeng got what he needed and immediately left EMO's shop, as though he had never said that they were brothers. This city Lord Zhang was a very pragmatic person. He wouldn't invest on something without getting a benefit. He was a Golden Core State cultivator and he wasn't going to lower himself to connect with a Foundation Establishment State cultivator. EMO sighed, wondering whether he should have left the city. After thinking about all of that, he found that Yan Zheng was still sitting in front of him and hadn't left. Yan Zheng saw EMO's expression change, but he didn't mind and instead saluted him with his fist. Those two are gone. Now let's introduce each other again. I'm the manager of the Immortal Treasure Tower River State branch, Yan Zheng. EMO was confused by Yan Zheng's attitude and replied, I'm China Pharmaceuticals EMO manager Yan. What do you wish to tell me? Yan Zheng smiled. Brother Yi, allow me to be straightforward. I can tell you're a brave person and I know why you gave the pill to City Lord Zhang. Yan Zheng's tone changed. However, I don't think Brother Yi understands City Lord Zhang. Your efforts might not succeed. Once Yan Zheng said this, EMO realized that Yan Zheng meant that the face-preserving pill was precious to others, but not so to him. Seeing EMO wasn't reply to him, Yan Zheng didn't mind. Do you know why Lord Zhang called you brother? Just like how he doesn't consider us to be at his level, he is still very polite to us. It's all because we have power behind us. Moreover, Brother Ye's master is no ordinary person. EMO smiled bitterly. He was no idiot, but he had just realized that Yan Zheng had called him brother because of that non-existent master he had. Ha ha ha! What a pity for Brother Ye's face-preserving pill. Yan Zheng smiled and said. EMO didn't really mind and laughed. Brother Yan is really insightful. But, are you telling me these so I can ask to have the pill back? Of course not. Yan Zheng looked at EMO and said, The reason I stayed here is because I genuinely want to be friends with Brother Yi. If Brother Yi doesn't mind, I'm willing to take on the conflict between China Pharmaceuticals and the All-Pill Tower. Would I have that honor? EMO was already planning to leave the city after realizing what Zhang Chengfeng was thinking, but now Yan Zheng's words confused him. They had just met for the first time. Why did he think so highly of him and was willing to help him? Yan Zheng smiled and said, Brother Yi, our Immortal Treasure Tower has always had conflict with the All-Pill Tower. Even without Brother Ye's things, we're still enemies. The reason I approve of Brother Yi, other than the fact that you're a pill master, is that you're someone that can be a true friend. I don't think I'm wrong. EMO wasn't going to keep pretending at this point. It would only benefit him to connect with the Immortal Treasure Tower. So he said, "Thank you, Brother Yen, for approving of me. Then I'll be troubling you from now on. In that case, I won't waste time. Brother Yi, the place you rented is actually a property of our Immortal Treasure Tower, and so is the land in a 10,000 m radius from here. If you don't mind, I'll make the decision to give it all to you for the starting step of China Pharmaceuticals," Yan Zhang said without hesitation. Who? Emo was really dazed. The land prices were very expensive there. Brother Yi, I truly want to be friends with you. I don't think you're a mere spirit grade level 1 pill master, right? Let me guess, that benefit essence pill came from you? It's a master's work. I came today not for the face-preserving pill. I want to know what grade pill master you are, Brother Yi, Yan Zheng said. Emo nodded. He understood what Yan Zheng meant. Otherwise he wouldn't be accepting what he was giving him. Yes, I'm indeed not a spirit grade level 1 pill master, Emo said. He saw genuine will from Yan Zhang, and he didn't have any conflict of interest with the Immortal Treasure Tower. There was no reason for Yan Zhang to harm him. It is so. Yan Zhang got up excitedly. What's the highest level pill Brother Yi can make? He seemed to have a high expectations. Emo didn't know what Yan Zhang meant, but he said, "Right now, I can make more than 90% of the pills below spirit grade level 6, if I have the recipe." Emo was confident he could make all of the spirit grade pills as long as he had the recipe, but he was being humble. What? Your spirit grade level 6 pill master? Yan Zhang was shaking with excitement. There weren't many master of this caliber, not even in the entire North Far State. Even the All-Pill Tower only had one spirit grade level 6 pill master in this city. The entire franchise couldn't have more than 5 pill masters with such skills. Emo nodded. He was certain that, with time, he could even make heaven-grade pills. Yan Zhang suddenly grabbed Emo's hand and asked worriedly, "Brother Yi, what's your success rate of making spirit grade level 6 pills?" 70%, Emo said calmly. The new pill concoction system birthed from the 3-birth chant had a 99% success rate, but 70% was very high already. You can reach 70%. Great, 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 Yan Zheng said. Brother Yi, I was right about you. I genuinely invite you to join the Immortal Treasure Tower. Don't worry, Brother Yi. I'm not telling you to give up your China Pharmaceuticals, but just asking you to make some pills for us in your spare time in your name. So we'd be hiring you to be our pill master. Emo looked at Yan Zheng. Brother Yen, China Pharmaceuticals is also selling pills. In that case, wouldn't there be a conflict of interest with your tower? Yan Zheng laughed. Brother Yi, the Immortal Treasure Tower has spread over the entire North Far State. Why would we care about a mere shop in River State City? Moreover, our business isn't limited to pills, but also magic artifacts. Brother Yi, you can rebuild your China Pharmaceuticals and take your wife and sister to stay at our place for the moment, Yan Zhang said, seeing that Emo was interested. Emo had already agreed in his heart, but he wanted to ask about the salary. However, they had just given him 10,000 SQM of land. If he still asked for a salary, wouldn't that come off as impolite? Furthermore, he still needed them to deal with the All-Pill Tower. Yan Zhang was very astute and said, Brother Yi, as for the payment, I know it's half-half usually outside. We're willing to give you 10% of the pills, which means that you only have to give us 60% of the pills. Emo knew this was rather good. Outside, although the pill master and the customer got half each, if the pill master only had a success rate of 60%, he would still have to give the customer half of the pills that could be made with the resources. The extra 10% increase was rather good. Emo said, however, Brother Yen, I can't agree to this arrangement. Yan Zhang was dazed. It was a very good deal. They were just hiring one person specifically, and of course they couldn't do 50-50 like outside. After all, they supplied all the material. If they split it 50-50, it wouldn't be worth for them. However, Emo said, my success rate is 70%. I'll give you guys 70% and I won't keep any extra. If you approve of me, Brother Yen, agree to this deal. He was sure he had 100% success rate for spirit grade level 6 pills, which meant that he could get 30% for free. This 30% was enough for China Pharmaceuticals to sell He was very happy with it already. Yan Zheng understood what Yimo meant and looked at Yimo in an even higher esteem. Okay. I'll take it then. I'll get your Pill Master Badge sorted. Yan Zheng closed down. Yimo knew what the Pill Master Badge was. Like the East Black State, the North Far State had a pill association. All the pill masters who could allow the association to approve their mortal grade pills were mortal grade pill masters. For example, a level 1 mortal pill master or level 1 spirit pill master. Those who could make heaven grade pills were called pill kings. There was no title for beyond that, as the highest level on Luo Yu continent was only a level 7 pill king. Yimo really didn't care about the badge or the title, but since Yan Zheng was willing to help, he wouldn't mind. Yan Zheng could only help him to be recognized as a level 6 spirit pill master. Beyond that, he would have to be tested by the association himself. With the title of a spirit pill master, it would be much easier for him when he dealt with the pill association. Not only could he buy restricted herbs, but he also get discounts. After releasing the news of the Foundation Establishment pill and the face-preserving pill, China Pharmaceuticals released another piece of shocking news. They were going to expand their land and build a China Pharmaceuticals tower. The head pill master of China Pharmaceuticals, Yimo, was also hired to be a pill master for the Immortal Treasure Tower. When China Pharmaceuticals Tower was being built, Yimo took Song Yangzhu and Yi Ling to the headquarters of the Immortal Treasure Tower. He urged Song Yangzhu and Yi Ling to keep cultivating while he was concocting pills for the Immortal Treasure Tower. When Yimo was concocting pills, he realized he could indeed concoct pills while cultivating, and this made him breathe at ease. He didn't want to waste too much cultivation time for pill concoction. It wasn't as good as focusing just on cultivation, but it was better than nothing. When Peng Shiping heard the news, he was dazed, but he could only watch Yimo get stronger. Zhang Chengfeng heard these news and smiled plainly when he thought about Yimo using the face-preserving pill to suck up to him. Yan Zheng looked cunning, but he was still too inexperienced. Yimo had somehow made Yan Zheng hire him. In a matter of a week, the tower was finished. Yimo took Song Yangzhu and Yi Ling back to the China Pharmaceuticals Tower. Song Yangzhu was now at stage 4 Qi gathering and Yi Ling at stage 5. What surprised Yan Zheng was that Yimo made pills much faster than other pill masters, and this greatly relieved the demand on pills for the Immortal Treasure Tower. Due to this, Yimo also got a higher status. With adequate cultivation resources and spirit qi, he was at Foundation Establishment State Level 3 Tertiary stage. Most of the spirit stones he had earned were used on buying materials. They seemed like forgery materials, but Yimo knew that he was buying formation materials. Yimo believed that his strongest talent wasn't pill concoction, but setting formations. Yimo was indeed planning to set up a few formations around China Pharmaceuticals. The first was a spirit gathering formation. His formation skills exceeded by far formation masters there. Yimo was also going to lay an extremely strong defense formation and an attack formation. It was all superficial, however. Yimo was secretly building a teleportation formation. If Yimo said he could build teleportation formation, perhaps the entire North Far State would be shocked. There were many people who could build formations, but rarely those who could build teleportation formations. It was only people who studied formations for centuries. How old was Yimo? However, Yimo's specialty was teleportation formations. He had studied it for many years in the small world. With Yimo's current level, he could only make a short-distance teleportation formation of 100,000 kilometers. But that was enough for Yimo. He was building it as an escape. Even though Yan Zheng was genuine to him, he wasn't going to let others be responsible for his life. The only pity was that he was missing 2 materials. A month later, Sun Jitsai successfully reached Foundation Establishment State and went to China Pharmaceuticals to help. With this, Yimo wanted to hire more people. Yimo felt that Yi Ling and Song Yangzhu's talent was good and their progress was fast, but working as a shop attendant also greatly affected their cultivation. Yimo had told Sun Jitsai to put up hiring notices. 2 people were stumbling towards China Pharmaceuticals. Behind the 2 of them, there were 2 cultivators chasing them. Yimo could tell that the people chasing them were from the All-Pill Tower. Yimo was speechless. They were too cocky. Yet, he knew that in this city, as long as you didn't kill overtly, It was fine for the all-pill tower to do this. It was a man and woman who were running towards him. The man seemed to be in his 40s and the woman seemed to be just 30. Her skin was dark and had a round face and big eyes. Emo felt she was familiar. They were both injured. Emo realized that they were ancient martial artists. The man was at black level middle stage while the woman was at yellow level tertiary stage. Suyu, look! This is China Pharmaceuticals. We're here! The man saw the words and called out in joy. The woman also looked up and charged immediately. Suyu! Emo remembered who this woman was. When he set up the stall in Ninghai to sell runes, he sold one to Su Jingwen and another to the round-faced woman next to her. He couldn't have imagined she was here too. So what if you're here? Believe me when I say that if I want to catch bugs like you, even if you escape to the edge of heaven, I will still kill you. The two pursuers sneered. Oh, really? I don't believe you. I want to see how you're going to beat someone here at China Pharmaceuticals. Emo sneered, standing at the door of China Pharmaceuticals. The two all-pill tower cultivators saw Emo as soon as they came out. They knew who Emo was, a foreign weak cultivator. But he was lucky and got hired by the Immortal treasure tower. He was very cocky, and if he even dared to beat their young master, he would beat them too. Yichinbei, these two foreign solo cultivators have some conflict with us. Please don't intervene. One stage 7 chi gathering said. Bullshit. These two are my old friends and you dare attack them in China Pharmaceuticals. Do you think I don't dare kill you? Emo didn't move and just waved his hands. Slap, slap. The two chi gathering cultivators from the all-pill tower were slapped far away, each spitting out a bunch of teeth. But they didn't dare say anything. The woman covered in wounds recognized Emo and immediately called out in joy. Emo, are you really Emo? Emo smiled and said, Hello? I didn't think you'd be here too. Go in first. Emo then glared coldly at the two cultivators. Hurry up and piss off. Do you want me to break your dog legs too? Emo knew he couldn't do anything to the two men. He was relying on the Immortal treasure tower. He didn't have his own power. Their face turned white, but they ran away quickly. Seeing that such powerful men didn't even dare to speak after being slapped. Suyu and the man next to her were even more shocked. They had been at the North Far State for quite some time and they knew that yellow and black level ancient martial artists were at the very bottom there. Emo took them in and found out after asking them that the man was called Xianxia and came from the small world. He had met Suyu here and their point of connection was Emo. Emo dominated the small world and all of those who cultivated ancient martial arts knew of him. Apart from them, there were a lot more people who crossed the teleport information, but they only knew about truth cultivation here. They were old and their talent was average. It was too hard for them to join a sect, so they could only roam around. They heard of a shop called China Pharmaceuticals in River State City, so they rushed over immediately. Xiaoye, you're Su Jingwen's bodyguard. Why are you here like this and how did you get into a conflict with people from the all-pill tower? Emo sighed. He could tell that the ancient martial artists who had gone there weren't living very well. Suyu sighed. Brother Yi, I'm from the Su family and my master picked me to learn ancient martial arts because I had some talent. I later on became Sister Jingwen's bodyguard, but some time ago, I heard Sister Jingwen went through the portal, so I came. As for the conflict with them, they were looking for trouble when we asked about China Pharmaceuticals. Thinking about this, Emo realized that the two martial artists had nowhere to go and he needed to hire people, so he said, If you have nowhere to go, then stay at China Pharmaceuticals. I was hiring people anyways. I can provide you cultivation resources and a cultivation method. They had no place to go anyways, and with such an offer, they agreed without hesitation. Emo hired 2 more female cultivators, which saved time for Song Yangzhu and Yiling to cultivate. He taught Sun Jitsai some simple pill concoction methods and gave him the job of making ordinary pills. Meanwhile, he dived into formation research. Even with support, the conflict between him and the all-pill tower was far from over. He was only lacking 2 materials for the portal: Star Sand and Segment Darth. Emo just needed ordinary ones, extreme high-quality ones were very rare. In the 2nd month, China Pharmaceuticals was on the right track. Hence, Emo was planning on going to search for these 2 materials outside. Song Yangzhu was at stage 5 and Yi Ling at stage 6. Even Su Yu and Sheng Yizhong were at stage 1 and everything seemed fine. Emo had found out from Yan Zhang that in a week at the Nanshan market, there was going to be an auction that might sell star sand. Hence, Emo asked Yan Zhang to look after China Pharmaceuticals while he sneaked over to the Nanshan market. The Nanshan market wasn't close to River State City, but it could be reached by teleporting to Ganyuan City and then go from there. Emo knew that if he used the teleportation formation, the all-pill tower would know for sure. Although Song Yangzhu and Yi Ling should be fine, he still didn't want the all-pill tower to know he had left the city. Emo used Li Bison's flying pike to leave. It would cost him an extra few days, but it didn't matter. Emo was at Foundation Establishment State Level 3 peak now. He was much faster than when Yi Ling and Song Yangzhu piloted the pike. He spent 2 days to travel half the way. On the third afternoon, Emo stopped not far from Ganyuan City and found a white snow fox. The fox dashed, and it reminded Emo of the snow fox he had seen in the Nei Snow Mountains. This fox looked the same, but it was countless times faster. Because snow foxes were animals that could find spirit items, Emo chased it without thinking. However, the fox was very fast and disappeared in the blink of an eye. Luckily, it wasn't out of Yemo's spirit sense yet, so Emo could follow it. Emo thought it would be easy for him to catch the fox. But 2 hours later Emo realized that the fox was taking him further and further away. He realized he had no hope, he wasn't as fast as the fox. Just when Emo was about to give up, a wave of power alerted him. He took back his spirit sense and even the flying pike. He clearly felt that both powers weren't something he could deal with. It was clear that the powers belonged to Golden Core State cultivators. Emo used the 3-birth chance stealth ability and retreated. He didn't want to be stopped. But before Emo could, the 2 Golden Core State cultivators came in his line of sight. Emo immediately lay prone without thinking. He didn't even dare to let out his spirit sense. He just hid in a corner, not moving. Ji Chongsheng were both Zhang Yuan's sword sect cultivators. I already gave you the thing. Why are you still trying to kill me? It was a woman's voice. Emo didn't dare to scan with his spirit sense, so he peeked. He actually knew the woman. The woman was Song Yangzhu and Yi Ling's master, Li Yuqian. Why was Ji Chongsheng trying to kill her? They both seemed heavily wounded. But Ji Chongsheng was better off than Li Yuqian. Ji Chongsheng sneered. You gave me the thing, but you already took one. Do you know what a Chao Huan fruit means to our Li family? It means a nascent soul state cultivator. Of course I can let you go. Just leave behind a drop of your life essence blood. The Chao Huan fruit was a level 6 spirit herb. It was very rare, rarer than a face-preserving fruit because it could be made into a Chao Huan pill. It was a pill needed for reaching nascent soul state. A fully matured Chao Huan plant would bear 9 fruits. He didn't know how many Ji Chongsheng had. Although Emo also desired it, he knew he wouldn't be able to get his hands on it. Keep dreaming. Your surname is Ji. How are you from the Li family? Li Yuqian rejected the proposal without hesitation. Even if she saved her life, giving out her life essence blood meant that she would be someone else's puppet. How could she do something like that? Ji Chongsheng sneered and stared at her. I've always been from the Li family. Then, he flashed a jade card with the word Li. Emo remembered that when he killed Li Bison, he also got a jade card with the word Li in it. It seemed that these 2 men were from the same family. Knowing that Li Bison had such a powerful family member, Emo felt cold sweat on his back. If Li Chongsheng had chased after him, he wouldn't have been able to get away even in the River State City. Ji Chongsheng was at least at Golden Core State Tertiary stage, and although Emo didn't know why 2 months had passed fine, that sense of danger rose up in his heart. Then, should I call you Li Chongsheng? Li Chongsheng, even if you're from the Li family, was it necessary to kill Elder Han? Was it necessary to kill Elder Yu? You took the Chao Huan fruit. Why are you trying to kill everyone from the same sect? Li Yuqian roared. Ha ha ha. Li Chongsheng suddenly laughed and put his sword away. He took out a golden single-edged sword instead. He waved it and said, When I left my family, I stayed at Pingyao City. Yet, the Zhang Yuan sword sect, being a double-edged sword sect, wanted my Li family's illusion cloud 6 strikes. Yu Jinfei and Han Mu, these two old fart ancestors, took people from the Zhang Yuan sword sect and robbed our Li family's illusion cloud 6 strike. We, Li family descendants, swore that one day we would come back to Pingyao City and make a bloodbath with the Zhang Yuan sword sect. Killing Yu Jinfei and Han Mu is just the beginning. You're from the Pingyao Li family? This means Li Baisun is also from the Li family. Li Yuqian was shaking. Clearly, she knew about this story. Li Chongqing said hatefully, "If you give me your life essence blood, I can let you go. The Zhang Yuan sword sect won't exist anymore anyways. It will only remain the Li family. You took one of my Chao Huan fruits and you're now at Golden Core State tertiary stage. If you joined the Li family, you could even reach nascent soul state." Li Chenyu's face went pale. Li Chongqing said pridefully, "This time, I got 5 Chao Huan fruits. Other than Li Baisun and me, there are 3 more Golden Core State cultivators in the Li family and they're all at Golden Core State tertiary stage. There will be at least 2 of us reaching nascent soul state. If that happens, we would have the foundations for a 4-star sect. The Zhang Yuan sword sect will be nothing. If you know what's good keep dreaming. Even if I die, I won't hand over my life essence blood." Li Yuqian interrupted him without hesitation and spun her sword to attack Li Chongqing. Li Chongqing sneered and said, "I've reached the 5th strike of the illusion cloud's 6 strikes. I want to see how many strikes you can block." Emo hadn't thought that Li Yuqian could already be at Golden Core State tertiary stage. That Chao Huan fruit was really not bad. Li Chongqing could take the upper hand easily, which meant that he was at least at Golden Core State peak. Li Chongqing and Li Yuqian were more or less on the same level, so Emo no longer had the intention of running. If he hid on the side when they both got injured, he would have an opportunity. Suddenly, a huge explosion sounded. Li Chongqing's first strike had clashed with Li Yuqian's flying sword. Li Yuqian spat mouthfuls of blood. Even from this far, Emo felt the killing intent of the sword chi. Li Yuqian grabbed some runes expressionlessly and activated all of them in an instant. She then took out a bright red feather and weaved a few hand signs. The feather immediately turned into a 10-meter-long fiery vortex that enveloped Li Chongqing. Such power! Emo could tell this was Li Yuqian's trump card. Now was best time to intervene. Emo was a straightforward person. He knew that Li Yuqian's means would bring Li Chongqing some trouble, but it wouldn't be enough to defeat him. If he didn't move now, he wouldn't have that opportunity. At the same time, Li Yuqian attacked. Emo secretly released Shadowless. Li Chongqing sneered and used the second strike. The runes Li Yuqian had activated turned into a sea of flames. Emo could tell that it had been caused by at least level 5 or above runes. However, Li Chongqing's one strike quenched all the flames, while not even a strand of his hair was burnt. Emo thought that Li Chongqing was so strong. Sizzle, Emo knew that it was the flaming vortex. If that couldn't injure Li Chongqing either, then Emo decided not to send out Shadowless. Li Chongqing sliced away the runes. He saw an overwhelming amount of flames come at him, but he smirked. The next moment, his golden sword gathered countless golden sword chi and sliced the flaming vortex. Sizzle, Li Chongqing's expression changed drastically. The flame seemed to pose a great threat to him. "Li Fire Feather?" Li Chongqing called out these words and the golden color disappeared from his sword. His clothes and hair turned into ashes. Except his inner protection spirit artifact, he didn't have a single strand of clothes on him. Emo realized that now was the best time to attack. So without thinking, he sent out Shadowless to attack Li Chongqing while gathering all the cultivation essence to activate the 3-birth sword ray. He would have sent out Winter's Arrival if he hadn't been concerned that it might affect the Li Fire Feather's power. Li Yuqian was already at her limit due to activating the feather. Hence, she had to burn her essence blood to send out her flying sword to attack Li Chongqing, who was focused on defending himself against the flames. Li Chongqing could only prevent her from damaging his vitals, but the flying sword still pierced his body. Usually, these wounds meant nothing. However, he was using his full power to defend himself from the fire and he couldn't heal himself. Just when Li Yuqian sat on the ground, she saw Emo dart out. When she saw Emo attack Li Chongqing with his flying sword, she was truly dazed. She didn't know whether Yemo was simply innocently brave or had a plan. Yet, she could barely talk, so she could only watch as Yemo attacked Li Chongsheng. Li Chongsheng was furious when he saw that a mere foundation establishment state cultivator dared to attack him, but all of his cultivation essence was being used up by the Li Fire Feather, and he didn't have a spare hand to fight back when he saw countless sword rays birthed from Yemo's flying sword. His expression finally changed. He was going to be able to leave the fire in a little while, but that foundation establishment state cultivator had chosen the perfect timing. Arg! Li Chongsheng roared and burned his essence blood. But even so, Li Chongsheng's cultivation essence wall was easily burned down by the fire. Who are you? How dare you ambush me? Do you think you can kill me? I suggest you leave now or you will die for sure today. Li Chongsheng threatened him. Yemo smiled and ordered Shadowless to dash into Li Chongsheng's body. When Shadowless got in, Yemo breathed at ease. He knew that Shadowless wasn't enough to take down a golden core state cultivator. But Li Chongsheng was distracted by him and the fire. What is this? Li Chongsheng felt Shadowless as soon as it got inside Li Chongsheng's body, and he tried to push it out with his cultivation essence. Yemo hadn't expected Li Chongsheng to be this strong. He had only used a little of his cultivation essence, but he had managed forced Shadowless out. Shadowless was Yemo's trump card. Yemo didn't think he stood any chance of winning a fight against Li Chongsheng. Without thinking, he activated the second stance of the three-birth sword ray, attacking Li Chongsheng's vitals. Li Chongsheng couldn't deal with Shadowless anymore and focused his mind on dealing with the fire and the three-birth sword ray. At this moment, Yemo sent Shadowless in Li Chongsheng's body again. Seeing that the fire was growing weaker, Yemo burned his essence blood to make his three-birth sword ray stronger. He couldn't let Li Chongsheng have it easy now. Li Chongsheng was furious at Yemo's way of fighting. Li Chongsheng had decided to ignore that small thing. He didn't think something that a foundation establishment state released would be enough to threaten him. He just needed to annihilate the flames and he could then easily kill that foundation establishment state cultivator. Yemo immediately noticed Li Chongsheng's intentions and rejoiced. He ordered Shadowless not to eat Li Chongsheng's essence blood, but to eat his organs. However, it was a very slow process. When Li Chongsheng found out that Shadowless was something that ate organs, he rested at ease and wasn't as careful as before, but he still kept an eye on it. Even if he didn't do anything, this thing wouldn't be able to eat his organs. Moreover, even if his organs were partly eaten, he could recover them quickly. Li Chongsheng smirked. He knew he had won. When Li Yuqian saw the flames grow weaker, her eyes were full of despair. She hadn't expected Li Chongsheng to be able to annihilate it this quickly. Yemo saw the flames die and knew time was up. He controlled Shadowless to devour Li Chongsheng's Dantian and essence blood as quickly as it could. Instantly, Shadowless devoured all of Li Chongsheng's Dantian. In that instant, Li Chongsheng realized what was going on, but Shadowless was too fast. He couldn't even react and his Dantian had already been devoured. Li Chongsheng was shook. He wanted to force out Shadowless, so he ignored the flames and the three-birth sword ray. However, Shadowless was too fast. It already was devouring Li Chongsheng's meridians and essence blood. Li Chongsheng forgot about the flames in his worry. Sizzle. There was a burning smell of meat. Li Chongsheng's body crumbled down rapidly, and Yemo dealt the final blow, piercing Li Chongsheng's body with the three-birth D-word ray. Curse you! Li Chongsheng swore as he struggled. He had been killed by a foundation establishment state insect. Li Yuqian, who couldn't move at all, stared at this shocking scene unable to say a word. Things had happened too fast and she fainted immediately when she relaxed.